Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for this show. Man. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Sorry, I was meant to stream yesterday. Yesterday was my time to stream, but fortunately didn't plan to work out. And I thought to myself, do you know what? We'll save it for today. We'll start the week talking about, obviously, the result. We're going to talk about that later in the show when we open the lines, because I'm sure there's many fans and like yourselves and a panel that would like to come on and discuss that game against Liverpool, which we will get into later. But we're going to start off with some transfer news topics, and we're just going to highlight and go through some of the news that we've been brought out in regards to mainly today and a little bit over the weekend as well, and just openly discuss these links because, well, we're under 2 weeks at the moment. Yeah, what, week and a half, 11 days, whatever it is, left of this transfer market. We're being told that Chelsea is still going to try and be active. We're being told that Egbali, Todd Bowley are still looking to potentially sign one more player, maybe two, maybe none. But, you know, from the rest of what we've been reading and listening, we're being told that we know to expect more signings to come in. Well, a couple of names have popped up. A couple of names have popped open as well, which we're going to discuss today. We're going to start off talking about contracts for certain other players as well to get into. So lots to get into in today's show. But as always, make sure you're smashing them likes. Let's get these likes up over 100 on both channels as quickly as possible. Over 100 people here already. Big up to every single one of you that are here. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for this transfer news show / match review, as we didn't get to do that yesterday. So we'll be talking both. We'll be opening up the lines, giving you guys the opportunity to have your say. But we are going to start talking about some of the transfer news that has been spoken in around Chelsea and some of the some of the players, not only just people potentially coming in, but also the potentials of players leaving this club as well. So we're going to go and start with that first, go through all of the news into that. So it will be the likes of Malo Gusto, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. We've got a bit of news on Joao Felix. We're going to talk about Havertz. We're going to start with Ziyech. There's a couple things to get into, shall I say. As always, welcome all back as well. I can see the chat is busy as always. Over 150 people here as well. Untaken seriously, big up to you. We were going to talk about them comments in regards to Simon Phillips and Enzo Fernandez as well. Trevor Smith, nice to see you. Fafa. Yep, we're going to talk about all of them as well. RJP, nice to see you as well. Big up to Andreas in the house. He's saying we are back and will dominate the league with a couple of years' time to get Enzo, Caicedo and Gusto. Well, we're going to talk about them three specifically. It's going to be an interesting one because I really want to get your thoughts as well, guys. I really want to know what you feel about these links, these news as well. And do we feel that it could potentially happen? And that's what we're here to talk about. Big up to Josh. Steve, nice to see you. KSA is here as well. Vic's in the house. He's back. Big up to you. Yeah, it's nice to see you. Joey's in the house as well. Wade, Santiago, Chelsea all the way. Lampard sacked. Has he been sacked? I didn't know that. Apparently Frank Lampard's been sacked. Big up to Surfs as well. Lawrence, nice to see you. Who else we got here? Alan, nice to see you, my man, as well. Big up. Nice to see you as well. That's quite nice. Gary's in the house as well. Can we have a chat with that hate directed at Mount for a change? Well, we'll see how long that goes until someone talks about Mason Mount. But let's see how the show gets on. Big up to Gary, though. Nice to see you. Sinks, nice to see you. Trev, big up to JP as well. KSA, all the usual people are in the chat already. Nearly 200 people here as well. So big up to every single one of you guys that are currently tuned in and with us as we speak. Let's get into things, shall we? Because we've got a busy show today. Yeah, we've got a really busy show, and I want to try and jump onto things as quickly as we can as well. So let's start with players that are currently at Chelsea. Players like Hakim Ziyech, who are apparently still open, or Chelsea are still open in potentially seeing him go out in the January market. So from what we've been told, Chelsea will discuss the bids for Hakim Ziyech as expected. Many clubs are keen on signing him in the final days of the transfer window. The Premier League and foreign clubs are exploring conditions of the deal. So they're interested. They want him. the big question mark with Hakim Ziyech, from what I've read from previous people and what I've been told, is more to do with the wage requirement. It's more to do with the fee set as well. Obviously, Chelsea are looking at Hakim Ziyech, and when you think about the prior to the World Cup and the values of what he was going for, wasn't a lot. Now you find him coming out of a World Cup, maybe a bit of market value added there because of how well Morocco did, and then he's also been playing in the Chelsea team, and we saw him against Liverpool on the weekend. Better overall performance. He seems to be, slowly finding a bit of form, shall I say. I still don't think he's the player for us moving forward, in my opinion. And I always say that if you're a player that does not want to play for Chelsea and you have got your mindset elsewhere, then you need to go. And some may argue, well, he's playing himself into form because, maybe he's trying to find himself a way out the door, and it's helping with him maybe doing that. Maybe, potentially, the worse of form that he's in, the harder it's going to be to get rid of him. And to be honest, I think Chelsea will look at it based upon on the facts that you've got Mudryk. Obviously, Mudryk is in. Pulisic still at the club. He could have been good backup to Mudryk when you think about it, having two options on that side, moving forward. And I just wish that he had... I wish that he had in many ways found a bit of form a little bit sooner. He's been a bit unlucky with injuries and recent form himself. Not as many opportunities as others, you could say as well. But equally, when he has played, he's just not been good enough for me. Let's not cut corners. He hasn't. He falls in that bracket of being inconsistent. And when you look at someone that's meant to be in his prime and left Ajax in his prime, that player that we saw at Ajax to what we've got here, we just don't see enough of it. He is a creator, no doubt about it. He can create, but I don't know. I think Chelsea are definitely going to get rid of him, and I think it's partly more to do with him as well wanting to leave and maybe moving on as well. And I think it's probably best for both if he does, and that's just my opinion. I'm happy as well, Matty. If this is true, we're going to talk about Gusto very soon as well. Big up to Matty K in the house as well, Susan as well. Yeah, you can do. The lines will be open a little bit later, so we'll get everyone in. Don't worry about that. There was a huge W, is what Sean's saying as well. So let's see, guys, what happens with Hakim Ziyech. However, going on from that Hakim Ziyech news, Ben Jacobs also said that part of the reason why it's maybe a little bit harder to get rid of Hakim Ziyech is due to the wages. And he goes on to say that Hakim Ziyech's exit before the window shut is still possible. Several suitors have inquired for with Roma, the latest. Ziyech's wages are still a stumbling block to some clubs, one to watch this week. So again, it's more of, the interest is there, but it's again just the structure. Maybe how much Chelsea want, maybe how much Ziyech wants in terms of personal terms. His agent discussing probably with other clubs his move and how much he wants, and it's going to fall down to how much he really wants to leave. Because if he wants to really leave and get out in January, then he will probably have to take a cut to a degree, in my opinion. But on the flip side of it, he might see that he's got some opportunities in playing at this Chelsea team until the summer, and exercise the fact that he should be paid a certain amount of money that he wants, so he could use these months to grow his market value, to push the narrative of his wage as well in many ways. So we'll have to see. I think this is going to be more in control of getting the club to agree with the agents and Ziyech the amount. That's that we'll have to see what happens. Back to Matthew as well. Big up to you. Ziyech for 20 million would be nice, Fraser. So everyone seems to be sort of on the same page when it comes to Hakim Ziyech. It's like, yeah, if he wants to go. If we can get it done now, we get rid of him. So, yeah, fair enough. Let's move away from Hakim Ziyech on to another one that's been quite linked in the window recently. Not this window, but for the summer window specifically. Kai Havertz. Now, there's been a lot of talks around him leaving, potentially Bayern looking to swoop in for him, not for the January window, but maybe for the summer. Florian Plettenberg has given us an update today in regards to Havertz and says, because of many requests, he is absolutely no topic in this transfer window. He won't join Bayern in January. No more transfers after Blind and Sommer. Bayern is working on Choupo's contract extension now. So, I don't get where this all come from, the fact that Kai Havertz would leave in January. It's just bollocks. Call that right out. That was never going to happen. I thought the whole talk with Kai Havertz was to potentially maybe open the door for something in the summer. And that's obviously if Kai Havertz wants to go. And I keep stressing that as well. So, again, it's going to fall down to interest. It's going to fall down to market value. It's going to fall down to the player wanting to leave as well. You know, I thought he was better against Liverpool, in my opinion. He led the line better. They didn't really they couldn't really get a grip of him at the game, in my opinion, in the first half. Second half, he slightly died off, I thought. The first half, he was better. I don't think what was behind him was great, in my opinion. But, you know, he could have had an assist or two. He's not a striker, guys. I keep telling you guys this, and I'm going to keep stressing it till as long as I can when it comes to Kai Havertz. You just may like it or not, but I keep telling people that he's not a 9. He needs to be played as a second striker. I think the 10 role would work. And equally, the issue is playing a 4-2-3-1 is that there's only one real position, you know, available for that specific player. And it's either going to be a Mount, it's either going to be a Havertz, it could be a Joao Felix if we keep him on. So that's going to be another thing that I think Graham Potter is going to have to solve. You know, not just play him out of position just to get him in a team, but he needs to find a formation where it can balance and work for all. You know, so look, Kai Havertz leaving the summer. Who knows? Kai Havertz for the next couple of months, as we've seen in the past, could just kick on again, start coming alive, and you'll see that maybe potentially that he grows in the game, and it might be to do with the chemistry around him, having better wingers, a bit more direct, more creativity. You know, I keep saying about chemistry and it not being there with the current forwards that we had, and hence why they all struggle to a degree, in my opinion. But, you know, we'll have to see, you know, whether he stays or goes is going to be an interesting factor as well. Get rid of Mount and leave Havertz. I don't see Mount going anywhere. I know people were talking about Mount, but let's just wait and see. You know, it is what it is. You know what makes me laugh? People get too emotional in the chat when you talk about players. I find it very funny. It does make me laugh. Do you know what I mean? Here was okay. The problem is Mount and Havertz can't start together if we remove one, and that might be true to a degree in terms of position and where they're set to play. You know, and that's going to be interesting. You know, what's this that I've just been sent? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, well, that don't surprise me. You know, that probably is true. We'll get into Enzo Fernandez in a minute. I'm not too sure about the person that said it. However, you know, it's probably right 9 times out of 10. So we'll see. That might be the case as well. So we'll see at a later stage. Again, Kai Havertz, would he stay? Would he go? Will Joao Felix stay? Would he go? A lot of us paint this image in our heads that Joao Felix is it. That's the one. We're going to sign him. It's done. It's not a Chelsea player, man. He's still got to show us what he can do as well. I thought he had a very good first game. But again, it's going to fall down to consistency and chemistry and him mixing in what we have. So, you know, for me, Joao Felix's 6-month display of Chelsea, even though he's missed the first 20% of his 6 months because of a stupid tackle, is going to be on him to show us what he can do and how he can mix with the players we've got. And I hope it does work between him and Mudryk and whoever we play, Havertz, Mudryk, whoever it is, you know. So that is what's going to lead me on to my next thing. And that's what we're going to get into now, because this whole talks about Joao Felix not having an option to buy in the contract, this, that, and the other. Well, we've been told by The Athletic that Joao Felix has a clause in the deal to Chelsea, opening the door to a permanent transfer in the summer. It then goes on to say that the Atletico Madrid told The Athletic that Felix remains their player. So logically, they are counting on him for next season. Those around Felix felt he needed to play to show what he could do before making any decisions over his future. So, to cut a long story short, there is some sort of clause in the deal that allows him to potentially come to Chelsea, whatever that clause being. I still think it's not like an option to buy, but I think it falls into the control of Atletico Madrid. So the fact that they'll probably look at how he's played over at the courses of Chelsea, whether it's good or bad, and then if Chelsea make the decision to want to further, maybe either one or two things, further extend or buy, which I think would probably be more the buy, then they will name their price. But I just don't think they wanted to be fixed to that price, and that was equally the issue, because if he comes to Chelsea and balls, but they want a cut price of 50 million, when they paid over 100, they've shot themselves in the foot. And then Chelsea have got themselves a player that's worked well and he suits the system, this, that, and the other. On the flip side of it, it could have gone worse for Chelsea. You got to, I say worse because Chelsea always have the option they can just send him off. So in theory, Chelsea's still in control of it in that instance. But if he didn't work at Chelsea and he was really bad, we just wouldn't buy him for that amount, and he'll just go back to Atletico, and then they'd have to find out a way of fitting him in the team. But I get why maybe not tying him to a value is a thing, but the fact that there's a clause that's open that allows Chelsea to potentially get it done in the summer will only fall down to Joao Felix, where his mind's at. Well, does he like the Prem? Does he like where he is at Chelsea? Could he see himself there potentially? Or does he feel comfortable in Spain still? Does he feel like he's got, more to do over there and he just wanted to play himself into a bit of form and now he wants to give it a chance? Because we've been told that Simeone may be leaving. There might be a completely different idea of strategy of setup. We know they set up quite negative and it's probably very hard for him to showcase himself over there. So as it stands, from what we've been told by Athletic, the option is that we can buy him. Equally, you want to buy him along with Nkunku and whatever else. And this is where I don't see it being possible, because if forgetting Nkunku is already done. But when you look at buying Joao Felix for whatever value that's going to be, and I think it's going to be between 60 to 90 mil if he does do really well. And then we talk about the midfield, and then we're being told that we need 2 midfielders, and you look at the pricings of this, maybe 75 mil for Caicedo, and then you further on to that, you look at like an Enzo Fernandez that's maybe cost you another 100 odd mil. It's going to come to a point where a certain position, not like may suffer, but you might have to look at what you're spending and then lower that spend and work out how much you have left to potentially pay in that position. I know Chelsea have the money to do that, but we spent nearly 500 million, and there's talks about Malo Gusto coming to Chelsea as well, which we're going to talk about very soon, which I'm very happy about, by the way. I actually like Malo Gusto. It's actually my preferred right back, which we'll talk a bit. But yeah, it all falls on Felix. It all falls on Felix. And why we say we will sell players, that might be the case. There's going to be a lot of outgoings, 100%. The wage structure will drop and it maybe balance itself and whatever else. But in terms of making fees on players that we currently have, I don't see us doing much. I don't see us making a lot on Ziyech. I don't see us making tons on Pulisic. The only one maybe that we could make a bit of money on is Kai Havertz. Maybe 50 million, 60 million. Even though I think he's worth more than that. I don't know, is what I'm saying. David's saying Mudryk, Felix, and Nkunku, Madueke front four. Yeah, maybe. But if Kai Havertz kicks on, and I'm just going to bring him back into this for a second, but if he does kick on, and the owners look at it and go, well, we've got him, he's already our player who plays in that role, and we're going to want to, potentially bring this Joao Felix, maybe we're just going to have to make a choice. And I think it could potentially fall down to that. It could be the point of, do you want Joao? Or do we want Kai, the player that we've got at the moment? Because I do think Kai is a number 10. I keep saying it. And I do think he needs to be played as a second striker. So even having Nkunku there, who I feel is not an out-and-out striker, I think what we will see next season is we'll have a team that's versatile, that will move, that will utilize, they will utilize to play deep, go far. We don't really have a target man. People say we still need a striker. What are we doing? What is Potter's idea of what we want to do moving forward? Does he want to have this expansive, versatile team that switches positions and, not any one player holds its position? And I'm talking about more the front two, in the way that they play, but are always close to each other, which is maybe a way, So I think we just have to see. No, he isn't a striker, 100%. I've said this. He's not a striker, but he can be played in the 10 role. And then, join the main striker, whoever it is in that instance. And I think Joao Felix would do the same. You'd play Joao Felix in the 10 role. He's going to do the exact same thing in terms of the arrival, in terms of playing as a second striker, the link-up play. It's going to be down to the chemistry and what works better. So I think this next couple of months is going to be very key. I think this next month is going to be very key to see how Kai Havertz plays and how Joao Felix plays. And I keep saying this. I don't see us keeping both. We might want Joao Felix, which means Kai Havertz goes. Maybe. Or maybe we don't want Joao Felix at the end of the day, and we look at Kai Havertz as being the one that we want to keep with the Mudryks. And so I don't know, is what I'm saying. But I do think these next couple of months are a test for it all. So let's see what happens with it all. Kai wasn't bought by the current brain trust. Can we go in? Could he be gone in the summer if he doesn't? If the style of football went off, England may not be free. It's true. That might be the case. Well, maybe Kai Havertz might want to leave. It's another option. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, anything could happen. The only thing I would say is I'd be shocked if we had Havertz, Felix. We bought Felix, we kept Havertz, and we obviously have Mount and whatever. I'd be shocked if we had that many players in one position and then play a 4-2-3-1 and have them many 10s. I mean, don't get me wrong. We need the switch around, but then, what does it mean for others? Do you know what I mean? But we'll probably have to empty out. So we'll see. We will see on that. Now, let's quickly fly on to Enzo Fernandez, because we're being told today that there's a potentials that Chelsea could go back for him and Caicedo. Obviously, Matt Law has said that before the window shuts cannot be ruled out, while Chelsea also looked at whether or not this would be worth trying to take a midfielder alone. They cannot land any of their top targets. And it goes on to also say that the Record, which is a Portuguese journalist media outlet out there, quite a big one, I said that Chelsea are back in for Enzo Fernandez. I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. I don't see it happening. There was another outlet that came out saying that Chelsea puts rest to sign Enzo Fernandez. I think that means basically they're not going to sign Enzo Fernandez in the summer, so in the January window. So I'll be honest with you guys. I don't see him coming to Chelsea. Chelsea are back in negotiations with him. When you think about the process and how much we went through with it all at the beginning, when we were being told by the journos that we were going to get him, and he wants Chelsea, which was true. Obviously, we've been told by the Benfica guy that he had mixed feelings at the time and kind of tried to push the idea of going, because we kind of probably sold a dream to say that we were going to pay the release clause. We told Benfica we were going to pay the release clause, but the structure wasn't agreed. I'm not saying that the negotiations broke down between Benfica and Chelsea, but however, maybe the simple answer is what it always has been, which is that you either pay the release clause or you don't. And I just don't think there's any more to it. I don't think we really want to do that. We might be trying to find ways to get around it, but there ain't really much ways. The only other way you have is paying over the means for the player. Yeah, paying over the means for the player. And then trying to get an installment plan agreed where you pay 60, 70, 80 million up front, which that 60 and 70 and 80 million could have maybe gone towards a Caicedo, which is his full value, which then you can break down with Brian. So from a logical standpoint, from a business standpoint, I don't think it makes sense for Chelsea to do that now. There ain't much, you haven't got much control in terms of negotiating in the January window. I keep telling people this. Clubs want to hold their best players. Why? Because if they lose them, not only does it affect the squad, but it's a very limited time to try and replace them. In the summer window, there's a longer negotiation period. It gives them more time to suss out where they want to go, what targets they want, who they can attract before the beginning of the season. You can't do that in the January market. And that's why players like Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez will always be overpriced at this point in time, because it's hard to buy players. It's very hard to just go and buy these players in the January market. Not to say that we can't do it, because we've got the money, and if we wanted to, we would have. But I think it's very clear that if we wanted Enzo Fernandez and we were going to commit to that release clause, we would have done it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when we were linked to him, whatever it was. The fact that he went a bit quiet and we were maybe just talking to it, and then all of a sudden now we're being told that we might go for it again. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll be honest with you. I disagree with what they're saying on Twitter. I think Caicedo is more realistic, in my opinion, right now than what Enzo Fernandez is. Guys, we've got over 400 people here, 25 minutes in. We are going to review the Liverpool Chelsea game later. We're going to open the lines as well. We're going to talk about that. Just quickly flying through some transfer news, as always, with you guys, just to bring us up to date on the news and where we're at with things as well. I don't really know much more to say, guys. With the money for Enzo, we can exactly, and that's the thing, Susan. You could, there's talks about Chelsea want Malo Gusto. There's talks about Chelsea are going to increase their bid, which we're going to get to next on Caicedo. These things don't make sense. It don't make sense why we'd go back for Enzo unless we're not getting Caicedo and we're just going to commit to it and that's it. Fraser says, if you sign Enzo for the summer, you don't pay until... if you sign Enzo for the summer, you don't pay until the summer under new financial year, Jim. Maybe, and if that's true, maybe that's another reason. And it could look. I'm not saying we won't ever get him. It might be a case we go through him in summer. We're being told Declan Rice is going to go somewhere else. I do think if we want Declan Rice, he comes to Chelsea. I just don't think we were looking at Declan Rice by the looks of it. Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez seem to be standing out more, and then we might look at a potential DM in them positions. Pre-agreement for Enzo in the summer. I hope so. He's the one player I've wanted. If there's players that I wanted to come after what we've done up to this point, it would be him, and it would be Malo Gusto. They're the two players that I want. You know, they're the two players that I want to come in, and then we go again for a midfielder because we need two. So we get one now, and we get another one in summer. You know, Jorginho looks like he's going to go. Kante is going to stay by the looks of it. Gives us a bit there. Kovacic, what you're doing? You're staying. You're going. Like, do you get what I mean? Rice taking a page out of Mudryk's playbook is what Sam's saying. I don't know what's happened with Rice. Has he done something on the? Oh, right, you're saying in terms of being attracted by Arsenal and Chelsea, but hijacking the deal. Maybe. Everyone is convinced that Enzo is the best midfielder in the world, but I'm not. There are no guarantees. And for the price, it doesn't make sense. Well, you know, I don't know about the best midfielder in the world, but what I will say is that there's a very raw talent in this boy and a mature, from what I've seen of him, a mature player, a player that has room to grow, a player that already has, what I say, the abilities that many midfielders don't have in being able to look up and create, spread the ball, keep the ball moving quickly, helps the transitions. You know, equally he's physical, we can get stuck in. I don't think there's many players like him in right now, in my opinion. You know, other than maybe Frankie de Jong, who is the closest person that I could bring to him. And they're the two, one of the two, and I'd like any of them to. That's more to do with their vision. And I'm talking about the vision to be able to play the ball and make them passes. And, you know, a bit like what Odegaard does for Arsenal, where he creates. Obviously, he's not the same frame and type, but in terms of that vision, no, but they're equally on the same page. You know, Frankie de Jong's just more proven because he's known more. This guy's still quite new in the blocks. So, you know, I think there's a player there. And I think wherever he goes next, even if it isn't Chelsea, Barcelona, Man City, you guys are really going to see a top player. And it's going to be one of them ones where I think we do punch ourselves. I really do if we don't get him. That's just my opinion. Really rate him. Let's go on to Caicedo news. According to Simon Jones of the Daily Mail, Chelsea are weighing up an improved bid for Caicedo, despite Brighton dismissing the initial 55 million. Now, we've already been told, supposedly by everyone, Ben Jacobs has been on the show as well, that the bid for Caicedo of what's required is around 75 million, maybe a bit more plus. We've already tried a 55 plus 10, which didn't add up to 75. We're being told Potter wants the deal done. We're being told that Chelsea this week will go back in for Caicedo, that Caicedo is up for potentially coming to Chelsea as well, providing that Chelsea put the money on the table. Again, I'll be honest with you, I think it's a lot of money for Caicedo. I see a player that is having a very good season again, that fits what we're equally trying to do, in my opinion. It's still not like, again, he's not the only answer to the midfield. He's someone that comes in and solves something that we need. And I'm talking about anticipation, the direction of being able to move the ball quickly. Obviously, playing in the Brighton team, he's always looking forward. You know, breaking play, moving the ball quickly. Like, I've seen a player in him. You know, 75 million is a lot of money. Some people will say that it's money that's well deserved from what they've seen of him. Others may think it's a bit too much. You know, exactly there. Caicedo's worth it. Get Caicedo and Gusto and wrap it up is what Shaq's saying. I think by the end of the window, we'll get Caicedo and Gusto, which I'll be over them. Oh, listen, if we do that, that is mad. I'm telling you. Being told to look at Pies for Enzo news. Let's have a quick look before I go away from Enzo Fernandez. Is there any more news on Enzo Fernandez? Over 400 people here, by the way, as well. Well, there you go. You know, I just... We'll come back to Caicedo in a second. There's a bit of news broken on Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea. Say to Chelsea, but Chelsea to, you know, trying to get Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea are going to resume talks with Benfica for Enzo Fernandez this week. Sources have confirmed. I don't really get unless we've used this time to sit down as a hierarchy and try and work out how we can get Benfica to pull or bite, I don't really get how we're getting him. Unless we're literally just going to throw all that 120 million at him now and just say, do you know what? F it. Let's just pay the release clause, but let's see if we can get him to negotiate some sort of installment with us rather than give him it all up front in one. I don't know. I mean, this come out a minute ago, literally a minute ago. I'm going to retweet it as well, actually. I haven't retweeted it. Let's retweet it. Retweet. I don't know. Jacob Steinberg's quite and legit journo, don't get me wrong. I just don't know how true that is. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if Chelsea kick on more with it, you know. Here we go again, isn't it? Enzo Fernandez, Chelsea, here we go. We built up. So Chelsea are going to sign him. It's very close and Enzo's ready and and then we'll be told that Benfica want the release clause. We'll be shut down again. So there you go. There's a minute ago. There's the news from Jacob Steinberg and around Enzo Fernandez. Apparently Chelsea are going to look at that. But, you know, put 2 and 2 together, guys. If we're doing that, why are we going to bother buying Caicedo? I don't see us getting both. We can't get both in this window. So what are we doing here? Are we going for Caicedo? Or are we going for Enzo? What are we doing? We've been told we're going to renew the discussions, but what does that even mean? What's renew the discussions? We're going to try what? Maybe for a summer. This is the only other thing, actually, what you guys said in the chat. Maybe the renewal of discussions is to organise Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea for summer. Maybe we're going to try and get some sort of agreement with him to do that. I don't see them doing that equally because I think they're going to want to bargain him up. I think they're going to use the fact that probably other clubs will be interested in signing him. He may not even want that. He might want to see what's on the table from other European clubs. We'll try it. Maybe that's the route we go, a bit like the Christopher and Nkunku news. But I don't see us going to renew to try and get him now. Really don't. I just don't see that happening. Who knows? But when we do know, we will be on it and we will be discussing it and we'll be going through it. Over 450 of you guys here. Big up to every single one of you guys that are in at the moment. Smash the likes. Smash the likes. Let's get these likes over 100. I know we haven't got enough likes. I know that. Come on, GNA TV, man. There's over 120 of you guys there. I've only got 46 likes. Please get them likes up. If you're not hit the thumb, hit it now. 80 likes on Chelsea Fan TV, but there's 333 of you here. Come on, guys. Come on. We're better than this. Let's get this over 100 likes now. Hit the like if you think Chelsea are going to get a midfielder this window. Hit the like if you think Chelsea are going to get a right back. Hit the likes if you think Chelsea are going to sign one more player, or maybe even 2 more players by the end of the transfer window. Just hit them likes with a 20-year contract. Yeah, we're being told off for that as well. Why can't we get that right back? RB Leipzig guy now. Oh, we're talking about Gavordia, maybe in the summer, but he's talking about the potentials of Liverpool, from what I've read about him. So anyway, going on to Caicedo, and I'm going back to it in a second. We're going to move on to Malo Gusto next. Is that expecting Caicedo to be sorted one way or the other this week? Brighton's playing next Sunday against Liverpool on the 29th of Jan. Feeling is Chelsea will try again, but the scouts have been working on other names other than the past weeks. And there's some other names as well that Pies has listed there. You can check out his official social. He's got like a podcast thing over there, so go and check that out as well. Chelsea FC 365 as well. You know, we've been told Caicedo could happen this week. We've been told that Brighton are looking at the potentials of finding someone to replace him in the event of Chelsea potentially coming back for him. But then this is what it leads on to my next thing. Because over the weekend, Chelsea have been linked to Malo Gusto. Malo Gusto to Chelsea. Now, I can't explain how excited I am for this one. And I honestly believe that if we get Malo Gusto in this window, yeah, along with Reece James, I tell you now that we have sorted out our right-back area for the years to come. We will not have to look at right-back. You know, Azpilicueta could even stay or even go, it wouldn't even matter. But Malo Gusto to Chelsea is something that's been spoken about as well. You know, I'm looking forward to the idea. I'm looking forward to the idea that we're going to do it. And there's talks in and around from Matt Law, who's brought an article out saying that Chelsea are organising some sort of strategy move to get this done. And there's an article here to lean onto that. Todd Bowley nearly spends over $500,000 already. Chelsea are lining up a bid for Lyon's right back Malo Gusto before the transfer window closes next week, despite the French club's preference to keep him until the end of the season. Chelsea have pinpointed a backup right back to Reece James and at least one new midfielder as priorities. So Chelsea going for a midfielder and a right back before the end of the window, and that's end of next week. Are we going to be getting more? Are we going to be having great food, wonderful meals from Todd Bowley? And the interest in 19-year-old Gusto is part of a strategic plan to provide James with cover and competition from someone with the right age and profile. Listen, if you can manage to persuade Malo Gusto to come to Chelsea to compete with what I believe is the best right back in the world, that is great news for Chelsea Football Club. That really is. And again, I'll take my hats off to the owners on this deal if they can get this one done. You know, it's going to cost, from what we've been told, in and around 30 odd million. James is now close to returning from injury. We know this. Head coach Potter has been forced to use central midfielder Chalobah as a makeshift right back after captain Azpilicueta struggles to fill in for James. Gusto has a similar profile to James in that he's an offensive right back who often plays more like a winger and relies heavily on his pace and athleticism. Lyon would ideally like to keep Gusto until the end of the season, when the player will have 1 year remaining on his contract, but Chelsea want him now and are lining up a bid to attempt the French club. Lawrence Stewart, who already knows a part of the Chelsea hierarchy, has come out and said officially who officially starts works as one of Chelsea's technical directors in February, has extensive knowledge of Ligue from his time at Monaco. Chelsea have already raided Liga once this month to sign Badiashile, and what a player he's looking. I say we're going to talk about him very soon. From Old Club Monaco, which we got for 35 million. And then it goes on to say that Chelsea also have bids rejected for Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, obviously looking for the midfield. So be ready, potentially, for Chelsea to go in hard for Malo Gusto. And what type of player is Malo Gusto? Well, what I will say from what I've seen of him, I've seen much loads of him, but why I want him is not only because of his youth, but you look at the qualities that he brings. He's quick. He suited the league in that. He's athletic, like we already said. His ability to be able to cross the balls are very impressive. He has a very good distribution service from his side as well. Defensively, he's quite solid as well. You know, he's got room to improve in his game. But if we can get Gusto to Chelsea, and he's rapid as well, he's very quick. If we can get Gusto to Chelsea done, I am telling you now, that is our right back area sorted for years to come. Reece James and Malo Gusto as your two right backs is game over. Take the keys out the ignition, flick it, we move. We're done. We are done. Been given more news. What's going on here? Someone's messaging me while I'm live saying we've got more news. What is the news? Oh yeah, I've seen this. It's about Enzo Fernandez. What's Adam Newson saying as well? Oh, fuck. It's getting a bit heated around the Enzo Fernandez. It seems like they're all jumping on the bandwagon now. Let's go to Adam Newson quickly. Adam Newson has jumped on Jacob Steinberg's comments in regards to Enzo Fernandez 1 minute ago and has come out and said this again. And it feels like another 2.0 saga of Enzo Fernandez is about to happen, which is, again, being built up by the media. I understand Chelsea are set to approach Benfica before the transfer window closes with another proposal for Enzo Fernandez. Doesn't mean we're getting him in the fucking January window, does it? You know, it could obviously mean that we might be looking to try and get him for the summer. Maybe we go for Caicedo this week and we try and get him in the summer. I don't know. The proposal could be anything. This doesn't mean much to me, proposals. And I'll be quite honest with you. The last time we spoke about Enzo Fernandez and that all of the pre-agreements been built up and Chelsea do this and that and it's very close and he's going to be in that and then bang. I can't grasp. I'll read it and I'll take bits from it, but I'm not grasping fully this whole Enzo Fernandez 2.0 saga again. You know, it's like one person says it and then they all start adding to it. And, you know, how true is it is the question. You know, how true is it? You know, that's the problem for me with this, with what we're reading these days. And that's why I say I can't take any of this serious anymore. I just can't. I hope it's true. I don't want to get excited. I want to be excited because he's the player I want. I'm sure it's a player that most of you 500 people that are watching now want Enzo Fernandez. But we got built up last time to then be dragged back down. I don't want us to be built up again and get excited that we're going to do this, that, and then we just get... So again, in this instance, let's just take it as it comes. Let's just take it as it comes. And it might be, like I said, it might just be the case that we do go with another proposal for him, but the proposal being in the summer window. We're not going to come for him in the Jan. He's yours. But we want him in the summer, and this is what we're going to offer you. We're going to offer you A, B, C, and D. We'll give you this much up front. It'll equivalent to this being the total. It'll be over a 6-year contract. It might, you know, that could be the case. That could be the case. I just, like I said, it's not that we've been burnt. It's just like I find it very hard, especially from the Chelsea the Chelsea journo side, from what we've seen after not even just this summer, but previous summers. It's very hard just to read into it and get excited about it. I want to be excited about it, but it's like, okay, here we go again, you know? So let's see what happens. But going back to Malo Gusto, because that's who I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Malo Gusto, this guy, trust me, this is the guy. This is the guy we want for right back. I'm going to stick by saying that. We do need Malo Gusto. I'll keep getting sent other things. What's going on here? Sorry, guys. It's very hard for me to concentrate today because a lot of news is coming out whilst I'm live. I'm trying to give you as much update as possible from what we're getting. Oh, here we go. Simon Phillips is now. Oh, right. He's just jumped on. Yeah, no, Simon Phillips has just said the same thing as what Jacob Steinberg does. Just like I said, they're just forever repeating each other and what's going on. So let's see, guys. Apparently, we're going to go for a new proposal of Enzo Fernandez, which we might find out later in the week, whatever that is. Apparently, we're going to try and get Moises Caicedo this week, and we're going to give an improved offer. Apparently, we're setting up an amount from Gusto because we want him as well, and we want to get it done in this January window, which I think is a good thing to do. I think we need to get it done now. I don't think if you leave it to the summer, I think you'll get a lot more people looking for him. So there you go. 3 or 4 links to Chelsea. Looks like we're going to do something, if we can do something, and obviously negotiate with the clubs. And we will be highlighting it, and we will be, we'll keep you updated on it. We've got a whole week of shows again, so a lot of transfer shows building up to the end of the transfer window. Yeah, we'll take it. It's not bad news. It's like Enzo Fernandez, yay. Caicedo, yay. Malo Gusto, yay. These are not bad targets. They're all great targets. It's just how much can we actually get done and what for? That's the biggest question mark. Striker, I don't see striker happening. We're using Enzo to get Caicedo, vice versa. Maybe it's a strategic move from Chelsea, you know, to push the fact that they might go after, you know, Enzo. But Enzo's more than if you just put some, you know, if you just put your minds into actually thinking about the breakdown of it, just generalize it. If we want Enzo Fernandez in this January window, we're not getting Caicedo because Enzo Fernandez is more than Caicedo. We're not getting both. We are not getting both. I'll be just no, we're not getting both. No. So us going for Enzo Fernandez but not paying 10 million more for Caicedo tells me that we put Enzo Fernandez before Caicedo, if that's what we want in January. That's why I think it's like this. And I'm going to tell you, this is my opinion, and then we're going to go into the game on Sunday. I'm going to open up the lines as well. I think we're going to propose, maybe have a chat with them. The proposal is, I think, going to be for summer for Enzo Fernandez. It's not now, in my opinion. I think it will be for the summer. It's like the Christopher Nkunku deal. I think we're going to try and tie him down, or try and get Benfica to agree and the player to agree for a summer move. I think Caicedo is more logic in getting done this week if we can get it done, but it then falls down to against instalment plan. Can we set up a plan that works and benefits not only Chelsea, Brighton, and the player? So I can see that happening. Malo Gusto, I can see happening. They may want to keep him, but we have the money. And if he's already liking the idea of coming to Chelsea, then let's get it done. But what I'm going to say is it's interesting times at Chelsea Football Club, guys. Let's be excited. Let's be excited, and let's hope that we can get 1, potentially 2 more players by the end of the window, which will strengthen this squad. The midfield is dead. We need to sort it. The right back area is dead. We need to sort it. And we can equally argue other positions, but them 2 are the most important areas now that we need to get done. We need to get done. So Chelsea overpaying again. For midfield, by the looks of it, yeah, to a degree. Yeah. Anyway. 45 minutes on transfers. I was meant to start talking about the game. If any more transfer news comes out in between it, I will be bringing it up. But I do want to talk about performances of players that we've seen on the weekend. One player that we have signed and bought in that wasn't unsure on, should we say, Benoit Badiashile. How good was Benoit, or has been Benoit Badiashile? And equally, you could argue it's because he's next to Thiago Silva and whatever else. But this guy is showing matureness, calmness. The way he played against Liverpool, breaking the play, using his physical strength, making the right decisions on the passes, even more than what I've seen of Koulibaly. I'll be honest with you, he looks more comfortable in that position than what Koulibaly does and has been. I think he's been very good up to this point. And to get him for 35 million from French League and him slipping, it's still very early doors, and consistency will be key to be talking about Badiashile. But this boy looks good. I'm not going to lie. This guy looks good, and it's good to see that we've brought in a player that actually has qualities that actually we benefit from. 2 clean sheets, is it? Palace clean sheet, Liverpool away clean sheet. Big game. All right, they're in a bad rut themselves, but impressive. Impressive. Very impressive. I ain't even spoke about Mount yet. What are you talking about? I'm not even. We're going to get to Mount, but I'm not even spoke about Mount. And I'll tell you now, if you read my tweets of the game of Mason Mount, I was very annoyed with him. I wasn't happy with his performance, and it's nothing to do with the generalization of other YouTubers or what I see on thing. I always say how I feel on that point, on that game. And I always do it on a game-to-game basis. But I don't forget, and that's the thing, I don't forget what that player's also done, club as well. And that's what I think some fans do. They're too for the now. It's always now. Now, what we're seeing now. That's the issue when it comes to Mason Mount. But we're going to talk about Mason Mount a bit later in the show. But yeah, very impressive performance from Badiashile, and Forward's obviously joined as well. Before we move on from that, let's say hello to him and ask him his thoughts on Badiashile against Liverpool as well. How are we doing, Forward?
Yo, my brother, I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing well this Monday morning.
Sounds like it's going to be a busy transfer market again, Forward. Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Malo Gusto, it's all coming out today. Jesus. But
It's
yeah,
another day for Chelsea fans, isn't it, bro? We're used to to being busy, to there being chaos, to there being a lot of business going on. So it's good. It's good.
What you're saying about we're going to talk about the players obviously in a bit and the game and whatever, but I just wanted to highlight a specific player in Badiashile in these 2 games. I know it's still very, very early doors, and consistency is a key question with him. But from what you've seen of him in his 2 games, 2 clean sheets, has he impressed you?
Yeah, he's definitely impressed me. And I mean, when he first signed, what I said about him was that he was somebody that will fit the Premier League. He's got the physical attributes. He plays in the league which has a lot of players that naturally adapt to the Premier League quite quickly. So I was happy when we signed him after I got my little outburst out about how this may affect Colwill, because I'm still a big fan of Levi Colwill, and having 2 left-footed centre backs, it's going to be difficult keeping them both happy. But with that being said, I'm all about improving the squad. I'm all about adding talent to what we already have. And Badiashile is a big talent. I think he's also a much better natural partner for Thiago Silva compared to Koulibaly, because I feel like naturally it's good to have like a leader as a centre back, and then like somebody underneath them is more of like a secondary centre back who will listen to what they say, also has the physical attributes to offset what Thiago Silva doesn't have. So I think he's a great signing. He slotted in well. 2 games, 2 clean sheets. I also love the passing angles that he brings from the back as well. So no, I can only just like sing his praises because he's been very, very good so far.
I was muted. yeah, I agree, mate. It's been impressive. He has been good so far. Early doors, obviously. Anyone next to Thiago Silva obviously looks great. And not just that, he's probably learning from him as well. And it's good for him to learn from someone like Thiago Silva as well. So impressive from him. He could have scored against Alisson as well if he did headed it a bit. Yeah, he maybe should have scored. Yeah, but we'll get into that. Big up to Vic for the donation as well. Big up to users. If we get Enzo, what happens to Mount, Mudryk, and Felix? Starts in a 4-3-3. What does that mean? If we get Enzo, what happens to Mount, Mudryk, and Felix? Starts in a 4-3-3. I think we still. I'll be honest with you. I think we're going to play double pivot irrelevant anyway, and I think you're just playing a double pivot. And yeah, I mean, I think he's talking about having 2 8s and then having like a sitter, but. I think Enzo Fernandez would be used. If he did come to Chelsea, I think he'd be used in a double pivot with whoever else, Kante, Caicedo, whatever it is that we bring in. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think it's more likely we'll go, like you said, with a 4-2-3-1 rather than like a flat 4-3-3. So again, I feel like with Mount, that maybe again we'll get onto the conversation on Mount later, but maybe that would mean either him playing on the right or to allow Felix to play more as a 10. But again, it remains to be seen because obviously it depends on form, and obviously currently Mount's form isn't justifying starting with the likes of Felix, Mudryk, and Nkunku to come into the squad.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. All right, let's move away from Badiashile. Still nearly 600 people combined here at the moment. Big up to every single one of you guys that are currently in at the moment. Let's talk about the game a bit more. Obviously, I wanted to actually before we do that, let's just quickly talk about the new signings. We spoke about Badiashile. Let's just quickly have a talk about Mudryk as well because he did come on as in the second half. The 60th minute or so. Now, I'll be honest with you, he looked good. He looked very good. He had a little bit of an Eden Hazard-esque moment when he got in the box and moved his feet so quickly and unfortunately hit the side net him. But he possesses something that I have been saying for a very long time is one of the many things that we need in this team. A creator in the style of someone that picks the ball up, dribbles, tracks players, and equally he's effective in the box as well. His speed is terrifying. Like, I didn't realize he was that quick. And when I saw him put Konate on, he's pretty much done the splits. And Konate is not even slow, by the way. When he had Konate doing the splits and he was miles away from the ball, Konate was closer. And obviously Milner we can forget because Milner's slow anyway. But when you look at the speed of this guy and how we want to maybe play moving forward with the transitions and moving quick forward and getting the ball in, not only is he very comfortable with the ball at his feet, but he equally has the pace as well to really terrify defenses. And that's good. And having them combined is a real problem for any team that they're going to play against. And I think if that's a 30-minute cameo from a player that hadn't played since November the 23rd, and this was his first match, you could see it because he wasn't running around that much. I'll be honest with you. He looked a bit, but still, he picked his moments right. And when he picked his moments, he looked really effective. And I'm looking forward to him. I really am looking forward to what he brings forward. And before we go to you, I just want to quickly go to Edward's comment here. Felix about a drop and Enzo dagger soon. I can feel it is what Edward is saying here as well. Big up to you, mate. Thank you for the donation as well, Felix. It's about Felix on Twitter, isn't he, when he said that we signed Enzo. But yeah, big up to you, mate. Big up. Go on, let's talk about Mudryk forward. What is it that impressed you?
I've just been waiting so long for us to add a player like this, man. We've been waiting. Like Chelsea fans have been starving for a winger who can actually dribble, take players on, and just naturally brings fear into opposition defenders, bro. And that's what Mudryk brings. And listen, we're not gonna get too carried away. It was a good cameo. It was 30 minutes, but again, these are the attributes you want to have in your attack. These are what attributes that you need. Again, Jim, when I spoke about our attack over the last few years, really, I've said that we haven't got any specialist goal scorers, any specialist creators, and no specialist wide players you can take players on with great speed. And now with Mudryk, we've at least added one of those things, which is great because now in games when we're not playing the best football, he can win us a game just through his pace alone, getting in behind, driving at players, shooting or creating chances for other people. And that's all I've wanted for our attack. So again, it was a very impressive cameo. Again, I don't think he's a specialist dribbler in tight areas, but he can do that because he's a natural winger. I think where he thrives most is being able to run into space with the ball, driving maybe in transitions more so rather than in tight areas like Eden Hazard could. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how he develops, how he builds up to being fully match fit, and how Potter utilizes him. Because right now we have a weapon, and it's been a long time since we've really had an attacking player who we could describe as a weapon. But he's somebody that defenses have to be have to be like focused on and have to make sure that they double up on, they mark, they make sure they have a game plan for him. Because if not, he will win us games on his own, and
of course he
that's
will.
a
Yeah,
great thing to have.
he's got that, and that's what I can see. Early doors, but from what I've seen of him, I'm telling you, I mean, some people are really saying like Gary Neville wouldn't like to play against him as a right back. You can just see the ability, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And with Madueke on the other side as well, he equally gives us that same sort of thing as well in terms of breaking forward and being able to dribble. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we're going to line up. Guys, let's get this up to 250 likes if we can on Chelsea Fan TV. We've got over 450 people here at the moment, only 140 likes. Come on, guys. If you've not hit that thumb, hit the thumb now. We are going to open up the lines as well. Get your thoughts on the transfer topics that we've heard. Also talk about the game as well. So yeah, we'll get you guys all in as well. But over nearly 600 people here tuned in. Big up to every single one of you guys. Winter Surfer says, big up, Jim. Keep doing your great work for this season. I would love to see a front three of Mudryk, Felix and Sterling. That sounds good, bro. That sounds good. Big up to you as well. As always, a big supporter of both GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV as well. So thank you, mate. Appreciate it as always. Yeah, I agree. Also looking forward to a Mudryk, maybe Felix, a Mudryk, Felix, Madueke, and maybe, I know we haven't got a striker, but maybe either like Havertz or Aubameyang, just seeing how it looks. Do you know what I mean? So we've got options, and that's the thing. You know, we've definitely got options. But thank you for the donation as well. All right, guys, what we're going to do quickly is me and Forward are just going to quickly fly through these players, get involved in the chat, let us know your ratings for the players, and I'm going to open up the lines and we'll get you all in and everyone can get involved as well and have their say for the next sort of 50 minutes or so in the chat. I'm going to fly through this with you Forward, to be honest. I think Kepa didn't have much to do, but equally very comfortable with the ball at his feet. I don't think there's many goalies actually as good as him with the ball at his feet, in my opinion. I actually think he's that's the one thing I would say about him, even though I don't rate him that much. But yeah, you know, he wasn't tested much, made some good saves when he was called upon from Gakpo. Probably a 6 for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think a standard 6. So I made a couple of decent saves from Gakpo, one from Nunes at his near post as well, which you expect him to make. Comfortable on the ball, and I mean, honestly, I don't remember the last time we were that comfortable in terms of the goalkeeper at Anfield. Like, normally I'm used to seeing us get peppered, but no, it was a comfortable day at the office. So yeah, a standard 6 for Kepa.
100%. We'll come back to the game, the actually overall game in terms of tactics at the end as well. Quickly talk about it. But we spoke about Badiashile, so I won't go on to him. But how good was Thiago Silva again? Because this guy is just like, I don't get how people do not like. For me, he is the most consistent player in our team. One of the most consistent players I've seen in a Chelsea kit for a while. One of the best in the Premier League easily. And he's nearly 40 years old and he continues to do it, makes the game look easy. You know, should have scored, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to hold it against him because he's just class. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's just going to be so, for me, don't look forward to the day where he's not around. That's what I'd say. I mean, what are you saying Forward? I'll give him a 7.5, by the way. Actually, I'll give him an 8. Sorry. I'll probably give him an 8 in this one.
So I'll probably give him a 9, bro. I thought he was that
9.
good. Honestly, bro, he's I don't. It's crazy, bro. Like, because it's almost like we should expect these performances from him, but he's still managing to find ways to impress me. And it's like it doesn't make sense how he's this good at 37 years of age. It's crazy, bro. Like, and even before the season started, I was beginning to think, you know what, this is going to be the season where he becomes just a bit part player. He's not gonna be as vital to the team, but he's constantly putting out these massive performances. Again, his distribution from the back is second to none. Again, when we signed him, I thought his passing won't be maybe as good as like a David Luiz, but I think it's just as good, maybe even arguably better. And I think David Luiz's passing was absolutely amazing. And then defensively, he's just imperious, bro. Like, I remember Liverpool fans telling me, oh, when Nunes comes on, he's going to run him racket and all this nonsense. I'm like, no, it's Thiago freaking Silva. And every time they 1v1, he marshaled him well. He didn't allow him to come onto his right foot and just dealt with the situations like an absolute veteran. So I'm getting to the point now, Jem, where I'm looking at him and I'm thinking he might be like in our all-time 11, bro, or at least of the last 25 years, because at first, obviously, it's going to obviously be John Terry. But then next to him, you have the conversation between the likes of Gary Cahill, David Luiz, obviously, we'll go back a bit further, maybe say obviously Carvalho. So really, it's Carvalho, so that's the main competition. But I mean, if you just go pound for pound performances-wise, because he's not been here the longest, but just performance-wise, especially in a team that's suffering like we are right now, Thiago Silva is just incredible. So
He's just
yeah,
unreal, mate.
long may it continue. Long may it continue.
My favourite player by far at the team, I have to say. Right, let's move on to Trevor Chalobah because again, I thought done all right defensively. I thought all three of them were quite good. You know, I just in the back of him having one real bad game, I think Chalobah is one of them players that's heavily criticised as soon as he has a bad game, but when he has a good game, not spoken enough. I think Trevor Chalobah is a great player to have at Chelsea and to have at ranks. And from where he's come from to where he is now in such a short space of time, he's really shown what he's about. And again, today against Liverpool, I thought he done quite well. You know, he dealt with it all quite well, in my opinion. So I don't have much more to say about Chalobah because equally, as we know, he can have bad moments and bad games. But the overall with Chalobah is that most of the times, in my opinion, he has a lot more positive, better, consistent games than he does have bad games. And that's my opinion of him. Solid 8 for me. What are you saying, Ford?
Yeah, I would have probably given him a 7, maybe 7.5, but I think an 8's fair. Again, another solid performance from Chalobah. And again, remember we months ago were talking about how we would like to see him at right back. And then I think his first game at right back was against Man City, and obviously he got cooked. The whole team was terrible that day, and everybody was writing him off. And I'm like, guys, it's one game against Man City. Like, let's just chill, give him some time to get used to a new position because this guy's played as a centre back his whole career or DM, never really as a right back. So, but yesterday or rather 2 days ago, he was quality again, transitioning between a right back and also a right centre back when we tried to switch between the 4 and the 3. So, very impressive from Chalobah again, and a player that is really underappreciated in the fan base. And I would love that to change because he loves the club. He's put the club first, but even before his own needs at times. And I feel like he just should get more respect, especially for his performances on the pitch. So yeah, I think an 8 is absolutely fair for Chalobah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's talk about Cucurella because again, like a player that gets a lot of stick, he was very good in my opinion, and the stats would back him up as well. Decision making, blocking, moving forward. He looked more like himself, and we've been told from Graham Potter and specific in other press conferences that Cucurella's got a lot of problems going on in his personal life at the moment. Hence, maybe why some of his performance levels are just not there. But that Liverpool game, I thought he was a lot better, and people moan about Cucurella or say they don't think he's this, that, or the other. It's just again too early doors. But from what I've seen of Cucurella, I think there's a good player in there. I really do. I think he still needs a bit of time. Again, as the system improves and the players improve around him, I think he will find his form and confidence will be there. And all I saw in that game was a player that just got on with it, got stuck in, done his job, held out well. I thought he was good, in my opinion. I would give him an 8. What would you say, Ford?
Yeah, this was a really good bounce back game for Cucurella. Again, in recent weeks he wasn't really at top form and he was actually dropped for longer than I thought he would by Potter. So I would actually commend Potter on being quite strict with him and now bringing him back, and we're seeing an improved performance. Again, maybe you could argue he's brought back because of the lack of options that we have, but nonetheless, it was still good to see him perform like he did. I would probably give him a 7, because a couple of times he did get slightly bypassed by Salah, who he did lock up for the majority of the game. So and again, I still feel like I want to see more from Cucurella in the final third because that's what attracted me most to him when I saw him at Brighton. But the final third, like some of his passing, his crossing was of a higher caliber that we've seen so far. But no, this is a good building blocks in terms of performance for Cucurella. So yeah, I think 7's good for him.
Cool. Move on from him and we'll go into the midfield and we'll start with Jorginho. Not his biggest fan, people know this. We didn't have any options really in theory. I'll be honest with you, in that game, I felt like there was just no midfield. I mean, he done what he could, in my opinion, but the spaces, some of the spaces that I saw in the midfield were ridiculous. I don't know. I don't think he was awesome, but at the same time, I don't think he was bad. I just thought we had a decent-ish game would probably be the answer to that. I don't know. I just look at the midfield and I just get upset when I look at how bad it is. That's the problem. I really just want us to sort it out. We just miss legs. We just miss people that can break the play, move the ball quick enough. Like he's just too recycle, isn't he? And I know he tries to get hardest to shut the ball down and win the ball up high up the pitch, which he was doing, his pressing and stuff. But the amount of space, and I know Liverpool ain't in great form, but the amount of space in and behind him was just ridiculous. I'll probably give him a 6.57, probably. I don't know about you, Ford.
Mm. No, it's interesting because I'm just looking at the chat and I'm seeing fives, 5.5s, then I'm seeing sevens and eights. So it's
Mixed.
typical Jorginho being a
Yeah,
polarizing player, of course, which is
yeah.
funny. I'll be honest, I'm leaning more on the fact that he was very, very good. Again, when you look at his midfield options of playing with Gallagher and Hall, like which obviously we'll get onto, I don't think it's easy to play that role that he likes to play with those guys because he's naturally more of a combination kind of midfielder, especially like in the build-up play. Again, obviously offensively he's not the most progressive, we know this. And obviously defensively he's not the most physical. There was a one time when Cato got to the edge of our box where I'm looking at Jorginho and I'm thinking like a John Obi Mikel or Matic, they don't allow somebody to just waltz into that area. So of course that there's that element to his game which he's never going to be amazing at because he's not a specialist there. But for what he actually brings, I thought he was very good. Again, we'll get onto the actual overall performance, but for the large parts of that game, we dominated. We controlled the ball, especially in the first half. Like he was a big part of how we were able to play through their press and why they weren't actually pressing us too much, which gave us the space to then have Thiago Silva pinging diagonals and long balls over to Havertz and whatnot. He won the ball quite a lot. I'm seeing it here now: 5 tackles, 4 interceptions. That doesn't surprise me because he often does get stuck in more than people want to give him credit for. So I think it's easy to criticize Jorginho because when he makes mistakes, it's very in your face and it's very apparently bad. But also what he does bring to the game, people don't like to appreciate. And even for me, who's not a big fan of him as a player, you have to give him credit for what he does because he's very good at
It is,
it. So
and it's as good as
I'll
them.
probably give him an eight, bro. I'll probably give him an eight to be honest.
As
I thought
good
it
as
was really
them.
good.
As good as them stats look, again, the question would be where were them tackles and interceptions on the pitch when they were made? The biggest issue I saw in that game was the amount of space and the lack of protection. There was no protection, and I know Liverpool were bad anyway, but the amount of space when they did find themselves in that pocket of midfield was ridiculous. Like they literally could just walk towards our defence. I just feel sorry for the defence. There's just no protection whatsoever.
I hear
It's
you,
not
but
his
like, it's
fault.
like
But don't get me wrong, it's not
mm,
his fault because we know what we get from him. You know, like I get it. I know. Look, I think the best answer to this for me with Jorginho is I know what he is. I think most of us know what we get from him. We just know. Do you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Like moan
yeah.
about things that he just cannot do. That's it. That's probably the answer to it with Jorginho.
Yeah, I hear
But,
you on that. And again, on a
but
couple of times that he was bypassed and the midfield was bypassed, obviously he's not got the recovery legs to get back in position. But I think it would be harsh to say that or to suggest that his tackles weren't in good areas. Like I think he won the ball back in some really good areas for us. Like and
no, he does.
ultimately,
He presses.
he had a
He
really
presses
good game.
quite well,
He had
doesn't
a really good game.
he? Yeah. All right. We'll move. We'll
Again,
move.
also just to add to this point, like again, Liverpool's midfield. Again, I was talking to a lot of Liverpool fans going into the game, and they were hyping up how technical Thiago, Keita, Savić was, etc., etc.
True. True.
Jorginho led our midfield with Hall and Gallagher, and he was the one dictating the game,
True.
allowing us to recycle possession. When they did press, he was key with Thiago Silva and Badiashile in terms of playing through the press when the likes of Gakpo, Salah, Elliott tried to go for us. So I don't
I
know,
mean,
man. I feel like Jorginho gets disrespected a little bit too much, and this is coming from
let me
someone
let
who
me,
doesn't even rate him that highly.
let me ask you this. All right. If that was Arsenal and we played that exact same team, what would have happened?
We know what would have happened, but that's a different
So,
story.
so,
And
the difference here is that we just saw two really poor teams against each other, which it was a poor game in my opinion from both teams. When you compare it to the Arsenal Man United game and where they are and how they looked, you put that Arsenal team against that Chelsea team in that system and with that midfield and the setup, they would have. I think they would have destroyed us. I'm being honest with you. I think it'd have been even
to be
worse.
honest,
But
Arsenal's midfield is probably the most. It's probably top two in Europe right now in terms of how they're playing. So
I
like,
know, but
it's
from
that
the
good.
way that
So
we're explaining it is that it was like really good performance. But my thing is, well, I just thought both teams were really shit, and that if we would have actually played a team that was better, we would have been exposed even more with it all, in my opinion. But
yeah, that's
we've got,
fair, and that's also partly
but
why
yeah,
I would want to sell him in the summer, anyways. But I think for
yeah.
today and even Crystal Palace, he's playing well. So gotta give him his credit.
Lewis Hall, midfield. Apparently, this is his overall position. This is where he plays. For me, I prefer him on the wing. I'll be honest with you. You know what? Off the ball, trying to like shut the ball down and stop them from dominating and whatever. Yeah, to a degree. But when he had the ball, he just looked so nervy, panicky. Like he's like he was out of position. But I've been told that that's his position. I mean, it didn't look like it. For me, I prefer Lewis Hall on the wing. That's it. Like that's where he should be, in my opinion. But probably a 4-3 for me. I don't know. What are you saying, forward?
Yeah, it wasn't a great showing from Lewis. Again, the positives were that him and Gallagher's energy like really made it difficult for the likes of Thiago and Besetic to get on the ball and dictate, which is why that was a large reason why we won the midfield battle. But no, he was really poor, and I can see why he's a midfielder, but at the same time, he's not like he's also I can see why he's not going to be good at as a midfielder in the men's game. He's not good receiving it under pressure, like receiving it from the back four, like certain mechanics of how he likes to like try and play with like so even at the first 5 minutes, right, where Thiago Silva passes him the ball, when he literally passes it in between Thiago and Badiashile, like it's just like you didn't need to play that back first time. And if you're gonna play it back first time, at least play it like correctly, like and just little things like that were just clearly off during the game. Honestly, I'd give him a 2, and this is again where we just have to be critical, but we're not like that's not me abusing him or saying that oh he needs to go, he's rubbish, just that the other. No, he's a kid and he's had some good games for us. This was a bad game. Fortunately, it didn't really cost us any points, but he was bad and he needs to improve. So yeah, I'd give him a 2, but I don't then also think that in the same breath, fans should now criticize him and say he's got no chance at making it at Chelsea. No, give him the kid some time. People have bad games. You've seen a lot of top players at our club have bad games. So it just is what it is. But yeah, that was not a good performance.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. Let's move on from him to let's move on to Conor Gallagher. Where is he? Again, I don't know. I don't think he had. Some people saying he had a very good game. Others are saying not as good. I just bang in the middle with Conor Gallagher. I thought he was okay. I'm still not sure how he works at Chelsea. Still, yeah, I'm still waiting to see when this team improves and we have a system set how he fits it. If that's the right answer, like the right way of thinking. But I don't know. Is the answer to that? He brings legs, yeah, of course. Runs around, works hard, does his bit, whatever. I just need more from him on the ball. And he was lost the ball a couple of times in that game, got caught. I think it was in the first half. We was on the break, on the transition, we're moving quick, and he just stopped the ball dead and just got completely tackled by the midfield and lost it. And we completely lost the build up. And I was just like, why did you take so long on the ball? Like, just play it quick. And maybe sometimes I think to myself, is that his game? And then I think to myself, what is his actual game? I need to see more. Is he just like what? How do we get him working? I don't know. For me, I think he was just a bang on 5. There we go. In my opinion, what are you saying forward?
Yeah, this is a very difficult one for me because like so on one hand, I don't like the midfield. I don't like again I rated Jorginho's performance, but I don't like the midfield of him and Gallagher. Right? I don't like those guys as a base. That doesn't really fit for me. And even the way Gallagher plays as a pivot, I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that at all. I've always said he's more of like a 10 or like an attacking number 8, but that's where you see the best of him. But in this role where he's having to like be a lot like the platform to our attacks, carry the ball forward under pressure, have to show some good like midfield IQ. I think he lacks that a lot. I think his technical security of the ball is just poor in general, and he makes a lot of
Mm,
mistakes. So I just don't like the aspect of his game, which is why I'm never going to be a fan of him, a fan of him in this position, even though he offers a lot, because we have to give him his credit. He nullified Liverpool's best player. Like Thiago struggled to get into that game, and that's because Gallagher did a really good job on him. So he obviously gets credit for that. We obviously did win the midfield battle. Again, a lot of times his final ball or just progressing the ball up the pitch was sloppy. He hoofs the ball a lot in situations where he could just take a touch and play it backwards or sideways or find a nice cute pass maybe to one of the our forward players. So yeah, he has a lot to improve if he's going to play in this position because you're right, Jim. Like we were playing another bad team, and even Palace aren't a great team in pretty bad form as well. So
mm.
again, against the likes of maybe Fulham to come up again in a few weeks, or I think that's coming up soon actually, and obviously let's say even Dortmund or whatever coming up.
Mm.
Gallagher, Jorginho midfield pivot doesn't give me a lot of confidence, so he does have to back up his ideas. But yeah, I'll give him just the 5 because there was a lot of good to his game, even though there was also a lot of bad. So I'll give him a 5.
Yeah, yeah. We will see with that. Still over 500 people. We're going to open up the lines very soon, guys. We're just getting to the end of this, and then we'll start bringing you in as well. Let's go on to Hakim Ziyech. I actually thought he had quite a good game. I don't really rate him too much. I still don't think he wants to be here, in my opinion. I think we will look to offload him. Still unsure of like for what he's meant to be very good at doing. I don't see enough of it, and he's not like someone, and I'll give you an example, right? In the first half, I thought he was quite effective with picking out players moving forward, and it looked good. In the second half, he got a lot of the ball, but I don't really think he like for example like some of his passes are just well overpassed. For example, Kai Havertz, who I thought disappeared in the second half to a degree. A lot of it was just because of the service, in my opinion, like the way we was trying to pick him out. But I don't know. I thought he had a good game overall. I wouldn't say it was a bad game for Hakim Ziyech. I thought he got stuck in well. He done what he could. He played to his strengths, but just don't. I'm just not sold on him still forward. Is the answer to that. And I look at our forward line. He's good. Maybe he's good for backup and whatever. But I always say if a player doesn't want to be here, he goes. But I don't know. For me, he was a solid 6.57. You could call it whatever you want. 7 probably more than anything. But I don't know. What do you think?
No, I get where you're coming from. I feel like if you're going to just flat rate his performance, I think you have to rate it quite highly. But like with you, I don't like a lot of what I saw, even though it was kind of good. It's weird in a way because you have to understand the player, and obviously the player at Ajax was such a he was such a he had a lot of there was a lot of output to his creativity. Like he created in high volumes. But with Ajax, he had a lot of runners ahead of him, and obviously with Chelsea, a lot of times he hasn't been afforded the opportunity to play as a right winger with Reece James bombing on outside of him. So his options are a little bit more limited. He's then forced to do this in-swinging cross, which I don't like, even though on Saturday he did create quite a few chances from it. But at the same time, and this is my thing with Ziyech, right? Because a game like Saturday, fans will come out and say, oh, he created 3 or 4 chances. That was a great game. And I hear you that those are chances he created, cool. But then he also messed up at least 10, 11 other situations where he doesn't create chances. And I don't really like creators like that. Like I like creators like Juan Mata, like Odegaard, who are more efficient with their creativity. But these kind of like output guys like Ziyech, Bruno Fernandes, who give a lot of unforced errors, I don't really appreciate that kind of football. Like I do get he's a creator, and for every pass that he gives you, like the one to Havertz in the first half where Havertz then sets up Mount, who then passes to Paul, right? Like that pass was a really good pass, but I don't see that enough from him. And he gets in those situations enough where he could do it more. Then he also gives the ball away just too much for a player of his quality. But again, limited just to Saturday, and obviously again because of what I said, that's why even though I kind of appreciate what he does need to go. And I think now we've got Mudryk in, he should be moved on. Even though he's in pretty decent form for us. But yeah, just limited to Saturday. I would still give him a 7.5 because he was the best of our attackers. But I think it's time for us to move past him because he's shown us that he's a assistant player, and he doesn't fit the system that we're really trying to play.
Yeah, that is it. I think you said it perfectly. I ain't got much more to say when it comes to Ziyech. Yeah, we'll see if he stays in the Jan. If he goes, it talks about him potentially leaving in the January window. So we'll see. Mason Mount. I hate talking about Mason Mount these days. I really do. It's just, I need to stretch. Let me stretch first. let me stretch my body out. I was frustrated with him, and I'm talking about on this game specifically. He annoyed me more than anything in this game because he's just so ineffective. So just not what we've seen the 2 seasons before, where he was, effective in some sort of way. He lost the ball a couple of times. His touch on the ball looks wrong. His his runs that he makes, especially in that game, were not great. Right, we don't, equally what was behind him playing the balls in, maybe not quick enough, whatever, fine. We always had that problem. But when he did get the ball, I just thought he was very wasteful. Like, I don't want it to sound like I hate Mount because I've never ever come across like that. People think I defend him more than I hate him. But the way he's playing at the moment, we're not really benefiting from him, is the right word. And I'm talking about from what I've seen of him recently. Even the Palace game, I didn't, this Liverpool game, I expect him to just be more involved. And out of all 3 of them, I'm talking about Havertz, Mount, and Gallagher. I thought Havertz was better than them both, playing in a position that we know that's not his position. And
I agree.
I just think like if you're Kai Havertz, and he gets it a lot as well, as much as probably Mason Mount. But if you're looking behind you and you're not getting it, but you're still actually having some sort of impact, you must be thinking to yourself, "Fucking hell, like doing it." But like, I just wasn't impressed. I don't know what to say for it really, because I don't really get the blip. If it is just a blip, maybe he's entitled to it to a degree. Maybe we just need to rest him. Maybe we need to put him on the bench now, and then maybe that will kickstart him. But it's just not the same Mason Mount is the word, is probably the right thing I would say. I don't see the Mount we saw 2 seasons ago that was effective in some sort of way, you know. And it's a problem. And it's a problem because when we play him, we're not getting anything from him. Equally, you don't play him, and with all the shit all the injuries we've got now and whatever, it's like who comes in and plays there? And then it's like, all right, now we've got Mudryk and Madueke. Maybe it makes it a bit easier now to maybe get him to hold bench to a degree. But something's not right with him. That's all I'm going to say. Something from what I've seen of reason is just not right. And I can't put my finger in it. Can you? Forward?
I think I can. I'll try and do a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
Listen, with Saturday, right? That was a performance that we've seen quite a few times recently, and obviously that is concerning. Like it's concerning in the least when he's not taking on players. Again, second game in a row, he's not taking on a single player.
Oh, it was a
He's
one,
not
by the way.
creating chances. His decision making in the final third is baffling to say the least. Some of his touches, his awareness around him, like it's just not good. It's just really not good. And if I was gonna just limit my rating of him for Saturday, it'd probably be a 1 because
Yeah.
what really did he offer us? Not much. And that, again, that isn't to bring hate on Mount because I know this whole big thing online right now with people hating on Mount and other
I know
people like
it's
bigging up his
this because
performances or
people
saying
go,
that
it's
you have to defend him and all this.
like it's a lack of talent, is it though? This is where it gets a bit silly for me because it's like, is it the talent of the player? Because people weren't saying that the first 2 seasons, and now it's the problem is it's his talent. Do you get what I mean? So I don't think I
Yeah, no,
don't
I hear
know.
you. Like
Like,
the
what is
thing
it?
is with Mount, right? Like because compared to like players like Havertz or Ziyech or etc., like Mount got a lot more praise and prop for these from these guys and like than these guys from like media and whatnot. And that's why like a lot of people don't like Mount because he gets like all this preferential treatment, right? So that's why like when I have the conversations about Mount, I just limit it to what I think about him and
Yeah,
what the
that's
people
probably
that I'm talking to think about
right.
him, right? So I've not heard you like gas him up to the moon, like let's say like a Johnny Minerals, no disrespect intended, but we know what he said about Mount in it, and I think it's a bit outrageous. But
Well, I don't knock Johnny for his thoughts on what he believes in, man. He thinks he's that important, and he still thinks that what affects him is what's around him, and that's his opinion. Whether you like it or not, that's how he feels about it. I just feel, from what I've seen of him, that we're seeing a player that's either lacking a lot of confidence, a lot of form. Maybe the fact that and we've not spoke about this enough. Maybe the fact of going to, I don't know, playing as much football as he's played since last year to now, and all, maybe it's taking its toll on him a bit. Maybe maybe needs to hold the bench a little bit, just a little bit. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
100%, no, that is a
yeah,
point that I was
yeah,
going to come to. But again,
yeah,
the only reason why people like Johnny Minerals and again, it's not to bash them because I don't like talking about people when they're not
yeah,
here to defend themselves because I'm not bashing
yeah,
him or attacking him. It's just
yeah.
people like him who then say, "Oh, he's an elite player while he's in terrible form." Like, that just sets unrealistic expectations for his haters to then jump on and then abuse him when he doesn't perform. And I don't really like that aspect of it. But again, it's limited to what my beliefs are on Mason Mount is that for me, I have to look at him now as an attacking player because yes, while even he says he's a natural number 8, and while I thought growing up he was a natural number 8 as a player,
Mm.
he's been playing so long as an attacking player that I have to just judge him simply as an attacking player because that's where he's played most of his professional career at this point. Um, and for the last 2-3 years since he's been in the team, he has been our best performing attacking player. He's outperformed the likes of Lukaku. Tammy had a good run, but still better than Tammy. Obviously Havertz, Ziyech, Werner, etc., etc. He's been the most consistent of that bunch. But the last 12 to 18 months, the form hasn't been great. And the numbers have certainly died down since last season. And again, obviously I have the Mount Abbey. Obviously, we remember what he was like during the Champions League run. He had some very good performances then, and I still think that player is in there. But for me, he's going through his Rashford mode right now because
Mm.
people are
Mm.
rating Rashford like crazy
Yeah.
right now, and fair
Mm.
play, he deserves it because he had a great World Cup and he's come back and he's been scoring some incredible goals. Scored like 8 in a row at Old Trafford. He's balling right now. But people are quick to forget what Rashford looked like the previous 2 years.
Mm.
when he was being overplayed, playing at all these tournaments, international tournaments as well, just like Mason Mount, and in terrible form. But because he had a manager in Oli who respected him so highly and gave him the world basically at his feet, said that, you know what, I'm going to continue to play you even through bad form. And also there was a lack of options at United up front, just like we have a lack of options right now in our attacking midfield areas. So I feel like Mount is struggling because of that, and he absolutely needs a break from playing consistently. And that's where it comes to Potter now, because I think Potter has to manage Mount correctly, because you can't continue to play a player through this bad of form. And before, I could get the excuse of, oh, the only backup to him is maybe Chukwuemeka, who maybe people think isn't ready yet. And I hear that, but now we've got Felix, we've got Mudryk, we've got Mudryk again.
Got options.
We've got options now, and there's even players coming back from injury as well. So now you don't have to force Mason Mount into the team. Let him rest. Give him maybe even a week off or 2 weeks just to chill and just to have a mental reset, because playing through this bad form is not helping it. Because we've seen guys like Rashford, we've seen that happen to many other players, and they don't come back. Because I've seen it happen to Dele Alli, where Dele Alli is playing through bad form and injuries, and then he just never came back. And I don't want that to happen to Mason Mount, because for me, I think he's a better player, a much better player than what he's showing right now. But the play that he's showing right now, of course, he's not good enough to start for Chelsea Football Club. That's a fact.
And on top of that, it also probably goes on the back of what I always say about Mason Mount, is that sometimes I feel we look at him as being like this Eden Hazard guy, and he's not that. Like, he needs to be in a system, in a team that's functioning. You know, if it's not functioning in any sort of way, he's not that player to be the player that you know gets it to. He does Eden Hazard moments where we've got a semi shit team and we just give the ball to him and he does it. Like, it's not that. Like, people need to get that. So it's like, I agree. I think maybe you're right. Maybe he's having his blip. Does that mean that he has to leave this football club? No. People that are saying that he needs to leave and we get rid of him, he's got no talent, this, that, and the other, I disagree. I think it's a real.
If he's adamant that he needs to have 300k, then it's a different conversation. But that's just hearsay, isn't it? So
that's different. But when we talk about the actual player himself, I think Mount is a good tool. I think in the future he will be at Chelsea. I think we will agree with him eventually. And I keep sticking to the same thing that I always say with him. As soon as this team improves, as soon as this team has more options, as soon as this team becomes more consistent and has a system that flows, then it will be up to him to find that form and get himself into that team and show why he needs to be a part of this team. Then the questions will become of it. Right now, I have nothing, to say other than he's not in good form. He probably does need to hold bench. I probably agree with that at the moment from what I've seen. He doesn't look right, in my opinion. And we just move from it. I don't really want to stay in it too long, to be honest. Because I feel like he becomes like the main talk, doesn't he, across everywhere at the moment. But it is what it is, Let's go on to finish off with Kai Havertz quickly. Look, I'll be honest with you. People call me a Kai Havertz agenda, whatever you want to call me, even though I criticise him when he don't play well. I thought he had a very good first half. Could have had an assist or two. And there was some decision makings that, again, Mount should have, a confident Mount would have just shot rather than pass it to a side to Lewis Hall, which made no sense. I don't think Konate and Gomez got hold of him in the first half. I think his movement was a real problem. They just couldn't really suss him. And on top of it, I thought he was quite physical. I thought he held himself quite well for once. We moan about him being able to hold the ball up and be a bit physical. I thought he was quite physical in the first half, and equally he wasn't bad. Even if you hate him and don't like him, there's not to argue that he didn't have a good first half. I think even people that didn't like him even were saying he had quite a decent first half. Second half, he disappeared. Second half, he disappeared. It might have been more of the fact that of the supply to him and what was behind him. Some of Ziyech's crossings and passes just went straight to Alisson, and he was trying to get the end off, but he was never going to get the end off because of the, So I don't think, I'd say his first half was more of a 7, and his second half was more of like a 5.5, 6, and that was more to do with him being in any way bad, like people were saying. I just think that we just didn't offer, we didn't really provide enough for him in the second. Even though we made more, we didn't really get him as involved, even though he linked up play as much as he could and whatever. So better performance from Kai Havertz. We moan about him kicking on and just showing something. Well, we saw something in the first half. Now he needs to sustain it and be more consistent. And obviously, hopefully we create more chances for him now with Mudryk and Madueke around him. And hopefully he can start finding a bit of form and kick forward. If he don't, then the same problem, isn't it? Where does he fit in his team? You know, I keep saying it. I don't know how many times I've got to say this to people, and they listen to that bit, but they erase that bit when I say it and just say, "Oh, he's a Havertz fan." But I keep saying it. You know, forward, you hear me say it a number of times. But yeah, what do you want to say? I know you're not his biggest fan anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not. Definitely not. But no, I thought you had a fair assessment of his game. I thought he made some really good runs. He was a threat first half. Unlucky not to have scored, obviously. It was kind of a BS decision, even though it was fair, but still a BS decision with the offside. Again, I think a big reason why I rated Thiago Silva as a 9 because it's because of Havertz's movement in behind. Like Thiago Silva was constantly being able to ping balls over the top and have Havertz running in behind, and that's against Konate and Gomez, who are no slouches. So obviously he was timing his runs really well, getting into good areas. So first half was good, but again, I still look at some of his passing in that first half, and there's obviously the big instance which everybody's talking about with Mount, where he could have shot and then he ended up passing it to Hall. But Havertz's pass to him isn't good. Like if you actually watch it back, Mount can't shoot that ball first time. Mount has to then control it with his left foot, and then maybe if Mount's more confident, maybe he shifts it to his left and he shoots. But the ball from Havertz should have been played softer, so that way a player running onto goal 8 yards out is able to shoot first time. So I don't think that was good. There was also another instance in the first half where he passes it behind Mount in the transition where Mount slips over. Again, if that passes to Mount's feet, maybe Mount scores, and then we're having a completely different conversation about both players. So I still think Havertz lacks in that area. I think in general he's not clinical, so you can't really rely on him as a striker, even though, as you've said, Jem, he isn't a natural striker. But another big concern of mine is that these second half performances, he's always just falling off the cliff, and I don't really appreciate that. Again, whether you're a striker or not, whether your game revolves around movement, link-up play, whatever it is, second halves, we need to be able to count on you more often than not. And again, Palace, he scored a header, cool. I don't think the second half was even that great against them. And obviously, he missed a lot of chances against Palace. And against Liverpool, I just want to feel like an £85 million player is going to offer more than he is. And so far, I'm not seeing that. Now, rating-wise, I'll still give him a 6 because I thought he was pretty good, especially first half. Although, I still feel like I'm just missing something with Havertz that, for me, just isn't going to come. And that's why, cool, keep performing decent now, build up your stock a bit, and then I'm still looking to ship you off to Union Berlin, Frankfurt, whoever the hell we can get you to in Germany, bro. Because yeah. But you know what it is, right, Jem? Because obviously I heard all the transfer talk earlier with the attackers that you want to get in. Obviously our wingers are looking very good right now, but we still need a number 9. And for me, the guy to go and get absolutely is Ivan Toney. Listen, if he spends 3-5 months in the cell for his betting thing, whatever, it is what it is, isn't it? But for me, we need an actual number 9. And that's the guy to go and get. That's the guy to go and get. That is 100% the guy to go and get.
Right. We've gone on quite a bit. I didn't expect to go as long as we did, but there's always lots to talk about in there forward. I know we want to talk about it tactically, but I also want to talk about news around Enzo Fernandez. There's a bit more news and in regards to FFP. I put the link in the chat as well for people to come in. Do you want to just quickly sum up the game and then I'll go into the Enzo stuff and then the lines are open. So yeah, go on. What did you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, to quickly sum it up, it was quite entertaining. Even though quality-wise, it was one of the worst we've probably seen, like from a Big Six fixture, right? Quality was not great, but it was good to see us, like, again, based on where we've been recently, control most of that game, especially in the first half. I thought we should have been, for me, at least 3 or 4-0 up. Missed so many good chances. Thiago Silva, Badiashile, Mason Mount, a couple of occasions, Havertz. So many guys could have scored in that first half alone. So disappointing ultimately that we didn't win that game. I still feel like Potter needs a big win in a big game, and that hasn't come yet, which is disappointing. But for Potter, I will give him credit for the way that he set up because it was brave. People wouldn't have expected him to start with Lewis Hall in midfield like he did, but it worked out. I thought constantly switching between a 3 at the back and a 4 at the back confused Liverpool and made us have more control of the game, which was good. Again, I still feel like his substitutions are, or rather his in-game management is still lacking just that little bit to be a top manager. Because again, I feel like you should notice that Mount isn't having a great effect on the game and you could bring him off earlier. You can maybe move Havertz into the 10 and bring on Aubameyang up front earlier. Obviously, he brought on Mudryk relatively early, which was good, and he had a good impact. But yeah, with Potter, I still want to see a bit more. But no, ultimately, it was better than what we've seen recently with Chelsea, and we just have to hope that we continue to build on these performances because we've got some more winnable games coming up that we just got to go on a run now. Like, even though for me, top 4 is done, we still got to just perform better than what we've been doing now. If Potter's going to convince the fan base that he's the man to go and win us trophies and titles, etc. So, yeah, no, ultimately, I thought Saturday was more of a positive than we've seen of recent. So, hopefully it continues.
Against the shit Liverpool as well. That's the other thing. We've got all of these guys to get through as well, guys. We are going to talk to like the Kais and everyone's here. Actually, there's more people coming in now. Let me just quickly, before we go back to them, I just want to really quickly highlight this stuff on Enzo Fernandez, and then we'll go back into the game real quickly. So these I consider just about this comment saying why Chelsea need to agree a transfer fee rather than just pay the clause for Enzo Fernandez. And then it goes on from a tweet from Jake Cohen that says, in light of some confusion around transfer fees, release/buyout clauses, and their effects on FFP calculations, Mackerel Sport put together this explainer, which should hopefully clarify things, worth being in the mid Chelsea Benfica. So it's mainly built around sort of the situation with Enzo Fernandez and Chelsea. So I'll fly through this real quickly, right? And then you guys can read in your own time. But FFP calculations, it says all transfer fees, regardless of whether they are paid as a lump sum or in multiple installments over any period of time, are amortized over the length of the player's new employment contract within the buying club. So an example is being that the player is transferred for 50 million and signs a 5-year employment contract. The fee is counted as a 10 million expenditure in each of the next 5 years for FFP purposes. So 50 million over 5 years. Yeah, fine. Makes sense. Release clause. A specific amount agreed between and contained within the employment contract of the player and the current club, which another club can pay to have that player's registration transferred to the club, which triggers the clause should the player wish to move to the club. FFP calculation. The triggering of a release clause is treated the same way as a transfer fee for the purpose of FFP calculations, as a release clause essentially provides for a predetermined amount or floor for a transfer fee. Fine. And then you've got the buyout clause, which says a specific amount agreed between and contained within the employment contract of the player and his current club, which the player can pay to terminate the employment contract early and become a free agent. Yeah, fine, we get that. In practice, the player's new club pays the buyout clause on behalf of the player, but as this is considered to be a payment for the player and not a transfer fee, the entirety of the buyout clause is recorded in the financial year. That's the player's new club's. That the player's new club makes the payments. Fine. So an example of that would be 50 million buyout clause, which is paid on behalf of the player by the player's new club. The player signs a 5-year employment contract. The fee is counted as a 50 million expenditure in the first year and 0 in the second and fifth year. That makes a lot of sense to me, basically, all of it. So if you guys want to really learn about the meanings of release clause, transfer fees, buyout clause, and how it all works and operates, go and check it all out, is what I'm saying. And they've related it to the Enzo Fernandez deal because there's a lot of talks in and around release clauses, what Chelsea need to pay rather up front, and this is why they were referring to the what he says is why we need to refer to a transfer fee rather than just pay the clause. And obviously we've got the breakdown there anyway. So there you go, guys. Look into that in your own time. Let's go back to talking to the guys that we've got here. Obviously we've got an array of people here, and we'll start with Josh. Josh, what are you saying?
Yeah, what's up, Jim? Yeah, that was good to read. So that does mean if we did pay 120, it sounds like we could break that 120 out over a 8.5-year contract, which is about, I think I did the guys are around 15 million a season towards FFP, which isn't crazy.
Does that include the wages though too though? I thought FFP also amortizes the wages.
It didn't actually specify anything on the wages. That was more based around the total fee.
The fee,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Break.
I'm sure there is something couched with wages.
Because of the book value of the deal, though, I think it includes the wages as well, right?
Sure, it probably does. I'm sure the wages still break out over each year, but if it's 10 million a year, that's 25 million a year basically for Enzo on his contract, right? Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the game, I talked about it a little bit right after the game, but I think the most disappointing thing, why people feel disappointed, there's a couple of reasons. I think 90% of seasons, a 0-0 draw at Anfield, you're probably pretty happy with that point, right? I mean, I'd say in most seasons, right, if we're playing well, a 0-0 draw at Anfield is a good point. But it felt like we needed 3 points, really, and also the game felt winnable when you're watching it throughout the game. We had chances. I thought we were the more threatening team, and we just didn't take our chance, and that's also why it felt disappointing, because the game was there to be had. Liverpool are not very good right now, but if you look at it in the totality of the season, that's a point. It's a 0-0 clean sheet, point at Anfield, right? So if you just put it in that category, that's a pretty good result. I heard somebody mentioning top four earlier. I'm not saying top fours we're going to get top four, but I think I listened to Marshall last night, and Scott was saying we can lose 5 of our last 18 games. So I think if we win 12 and draw 1, we could have enough points to theoretically get us in top 4. I don't think that's out of the question with the health when this team's fully fit and healthy, which we will be getting back to in the next 17 days. Maybe most of the guys will be back that are real key pieces to this team. So do I think it's crazy that we could win 12 out of 18 games? No, I don't think that's crazy. And do I think it's crazy that teams like United, Arsenal, or United, Spurs, Brentford, Brighton, Fulham, these teams that are ahead of us don't drop points? I don't think that's crazy either. And we're not going to catch the top 2. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But I think from three to where we're at is still possible. I don't think 12 wins out of 18 is crazy to ask for.
But this is what I was saying, and I got shut down for saying this before. I said we have to look at it end of the window. If we put a run together, top 4 isn't out of the window. That's just what I was saying at the beginning.
You don't want to put the cart before the horse. Like, no one's saying it's going to happen, but until it's mathematically impossible, I don't think it's crazy to think that this team, once it's fully fit. I mean, you're talking about world beaters coming back. Your Reece Jameses, your Wesley Fofanas, your Golo Kantes, your Ben Chilwell. These guys will all be back, and they're all huge. I mean, 2 of those guys are world class, and Kante and Reece James. They're probably, when they're playing and they're healthy, they're 2 of the best in the world at what they do. So Wesley Fofana, I also think, is an elite player. So when he's back, that changes your game as well. I don't think 12 out of 18 is crazy. That gives you 5 losses. I mean, 5 losses feels like a lot, if I'm going to be honest. But I don't even know if I'd be disappointed if we lost 5 games, to be honest with you. I don't think you're crazy for saying that. 12 out of 12 wins and a draw out of 18 games, I don't think is insane to ask for once this team is healthy.
That also falls on the fact that you need teams around you to drop points as well, doesn't it? So,
sure. But if you look at the board ahead of us, like I said, barring Arsenal and City, all those teams have a bottle gene in them. All of them. I mean, and some of them are just like Brentford, Fulham. These teams are ahead of us. I honestly think, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm looking past them. I am.
I'm not being disrespectful.
And I don't think United, as well as whatever they played yesterday, they still lost that game. So that's 3 points dropped. Spurs, I think Spurs stink. I think they're only going to get worse because I think Conte really wants out of there. I think it's possible. I don't think you should say for sure we're definitely going to do it. But when we get fit and healthy, Potter's starting to show signs of a formation and kind of a system. Over the last 3 weeks, I've had a better idea of kind of what he, I think, would want to do ideally. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Don, what you saying? You was at the game, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was at the game. Shout out to Jem for helping me sort out those tickets, man. But I was at the game, and first of all, I just want to start off by saying that we took over Anfield. I've heard everyone knows about Anfield. They're always going about Champions League. They've got a sick atmosphere, but literally it was like a library. After they sang "You Never Walk Alone," they all just sat down, and we took over. And I think it rubbed off on the players as well. I'm not going to go through the whole team, but I want to pick out a few players that I think had a really good game. Badiashile again, Jem. I know you went to the Fulham game and you said he's really composed. He just looks like he doesn't break stride when he's running as well. He just brings that composure to the back line. And I was watching him as well. Like when he was jumping up for certain headers, it's like he doesn't jump. It's like he just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like he just, I don't even know how he does it, but it just looks good on the eye as well. Like he's so calm, he's so composed, he's quite technical as well. And that partnership between him and Silva, definitely going forward, I think that's what we need to stick to. Koulibaly, he's out of this team for now. I think we need to stick to this partnership. It's not a mistake that we've actually got two clean sheets when they've both started together. So I think Badiashile definitely a really good player. Serious gem in him. Ziyech, I think he was okay. A lot of loose passes here and there, to be honest. But yeah, he was trying to create something. I think he was okay. Mudryk, again, I'm glad that Potter brought him on quite early. because ideally I wanted him to start the game, but I understand the reasons why he didn't start. But it was good to see that cameo, especially in person as well. He's such a quick player. And when you just look at him off the ball as well, he kept picking up these little pockets in the midfield, going wide, just creating space. I'm sure you guys have all seen the videos of Carney slipping over and falling, and a few tweets of people saying, yeah, he probably didn't expect to receive the ball back because it's not something Chelsea have been doing recently in terms of the little passes there. So you can see clearly, man, the profile of player that we're looking at, are players that are quite technical, smart off the ball in terms of the movement, the angles they make for other players, the spaces the attackers are going to start creating for the midfielders as well, is definitely going to be something we're going to be seeing in the next few weeks. Hence why I said at the start of January, look, top 4, I don't think we're going to get it. But if we can put a run together in terms of the injuries that start to come back, as well as the new signings that start to come in, it's not something that's not achievable. We're literally 4 points away from 5th, Tottenham, and we're 10th right now. So I'm not saying we're going to get top 4, but I think if we get some consistency going in the team, we can definitely be in the running for it. Because I think this is I'm looking at it as a new season now. I'm looking at the second half now as a new season, with new players. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what's to come going forward, man. I think this 13 days break that we've got is definitely going to help as well. Against Fulham the next game. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed Anfield, man. I really enjoyed it. I'm pissed off that we didn't get a result because I think Liverpool were there for the taking. Yeah. But at the same time, me saying that, I just didn't expect much from this team. I did say to you, Jem, that I don't really know how to call this game because Liverpool and Chelsea have both been really bad. In midfield, so sloppy again, man. Mason, I was watching him and he just doesn't look confident at all. Those little pockets he could have picked out and he just constantly kept hiding behind players. When he would lose the ball, he would just put his head up to say, oh, shit, again. He just needs to be taken out now. Like I said the other week, we need to protect this guy now and just take him out of the front line because he's not performing. His confidence is on the floor and it's not going to get better if we keep playing him. It's not a situation where just play him through it. We just have to take him out and protect him at the moment because there is a player in there, but at the moment we're just not going to see it with what's around him. So yeah, Mount definitely needs to get taken out. Gallagher, we know he's not good enough for Chelsea. Let's not get into that. Jorginho had an all right game, to be fair.
Don, can I ask you real quick? Don, can I ask you real quick? Did you notice like an instant uptake in the team when Mudryk came on, like at the stadium? Did the team feel like, oh shit, like, okay, now we're... Did it feel like a step up in level when he came on from the rest of the guys?
100%. You could just feel it in the crowd. When every time the ball was going towards him, when he picked up the ball, you could just feel it in the crowd. Like everyone sort of urging for him to go towards goal. And the song as well, the Mudryk song was just going off, man. It was such a good away day, man. That was actually my first away. I've been Stamford Bridge, but I've never actually been Chelsea away. So that was a good first away game to attend. It was such a good atmosphere, man. But yeah, Mudryk, guys, we've got a player in this guy, man. He's a serious player. Just the little, just the intelligence, man. When you look at him, just the intelligence is mad. But yeah, no, I think onwards and upwards from here, man. We're building something.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. Let's go to Winter Surfer. What we saying, Mr. No Tan Superman? What's going on?
Yeah, all good. I'm not that optimistic about this team because they have yet to prove anything to me that they can go on a run or do anything like that. If in the next 10 games I see 7 wins, 3 draws, or 6 wins, 4 draws, then maybe. But I'm not that convinced. Okay, let's pump the brakes and say they have to prove it to us.
Yes.
First. Plus, I don't know what this team's going to look like on February 1st. Got 13 days after the transfer, or 10 days after the transfer, now we would put it, or less than actually.
Well, Andrew, that's the thing. This team could look completely different in 14 days, right?
I just want to see, get everyone back. But what I'm saying is, even get everyone back, that team still has to go on a run. And I can't remember, maybe last year they went on a run, but that was with different team, different players, different formations, stuff like that. So I'm cautious. Hopefully they can get it done. I think Don said it. I agree with and I think Josh said it. I think I said to him the other day that everyone's sort of a bit more confidence going forward when Mudryk came on, because they saw a guy who could dribble. And the last time I saw someone dribble, we sold him to Madrid. So it's been that long where someone, when I say dribble, a consistent dribble that ends in something.
Yeah, we're starved.
Whether it's a pass, stuff like that. Like I agree with Chukwuemeka. I think he slipped because he didn't expect that 1-2.
Yeah.
Madrid,
and in fairness to Chukwuemeka, everybody was slipping that game. I don't know if you guys, we just didn't have the right studs in. The grass was really wet, but everybody was on their ass all game.
But they always slip at Anfield anyway. But
sprinklers came out at half time, to be fair.
Well timed.
I just think like Mudryk played well, came on cameo, did well. Who else? Like Balotelli did well. I thought you can say Cucurella did well and pocketed Salah, but I don't see that as a big achievement these days with pocketing Salah because every left back seems to do it.
You know what's funny? Edgy, you know what's funny? We've been so starved that when Mudryk made that run in the box, like my first instinct was like, "Oh fuck, he lost it!" Like, "Oh, he just dribbled into somebody," and then he comes out the back. He comes out the backside of it. And you're like, "Oh shit!" Oh man, it was like it was so.
This is how damn bad we are as a fan base. 3 big things recently happened when Mendy caught a catch from a corner. That was the biggest cheer at Stamford Bridge. And Joao Felix did a turn at Fulham and passed it on to Havertz, one of the biggest cheers of the season. And probably when Mudryk did a dribble and went on a run, that's how damn bad we are. We starved for just a player like that.
What was even more funny is that when he did come on Mudryk and he tried to, because he was so, what I did like about him also with the speed and dribble was that he also tried to play the ball quickly forward. Every time he got the ball, he just played a really good
one
pass.
Touch.
Yeah, like bang. And when Carney tripped over, I just thought in my head, the only reason he's done that is because I don't think our players are that used to actually receiving the ball that quick. Like,
that's what I'm saying to you. They're not used to it.
They're literally like, what the hell? Let's come back to me.
Well, like, and for me too, like we talked about Mount a lot. If you want to look at the difference to me and like what kind of player I want to see in that position, it's like Carney's little 8-9 minute appearance. That's exactly how dangerous was he? He was in the box for 2 or 3 chances. Like just in the little time he was on the pitch, he was dangerous, man. That's what I'm looking for.
One thing about Carney, he's not phased. That's one thing about him. He seems to be a confident guy. When you look at him as well, his build, how old is he? 19, 20? He doesn't look like a 19, 20-year-old. Yeah, man. I think
he's physical power. He's
what I'm saying, but what you're going to see is, with the level of player coming in, is who is up to the grade and who isn't. And what you're going to see is whether they can get to that grade or not, or if they have a place in this squad or are going to be part of the clear out.
I said that in the chat. Like, Jem, when it comes to Havertz, I'll make my judge on Havertz when I see Felix, Mudryk, and Madueke on the pitch with him at the same time. And then you'll find out if he belongs. Because I think the other 2 guys in 5 minutes showed me they belong. So if you put them 4 on the pitch together, I'll know quickly if Havertz belongs or not.
I think the mindset with the players that are here is not the new players fitting with you. Is how you fit with these new players.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's why I said about Mason Mount earlier when I said about the judgments of him once the team improves around him and him having to force himself in that team and show us why he's valued with a consistent team, with a system that actually flows and better players around you. That's why I said what I said. And that's the same with Kai Havertz. If he does stay, I'm just saying it's the same thing. They need to be able to fit with these players that are coming in, and kick on. If they don't, they have their own problems, don't they? But Kai, talking about Kai Havertz. Kai is here as well. Let's go on, Kai Havertz. You all right?
Yeah, man. It's been a minute. Man. Missed you. Haven't seen you in a while, man. Hope all is good. Man. Saw you in Dubai, man.
Yeah.
It's good, man.
How you been though? Anyway, you good, bro?
Yeah, man. Life is good. New job. Everything is good. Other than that, man, life is good. But Chelsea, man, Chelsea's the only reason why life is kind of,
I knew you were going to go there. I knew
in the downfall, man. But hey, man, it looks convincing, man. For me, like Josh mentioned, yeah. When you see like the level of like Felix and Mudryk on the ball, you realize like how much we overrated the players that we already had in attack. You know what I mean? Like just based on their technical ability, man. And for me, we've been starved, man. We've been starved out of that. Like the Mudryk thing when he dribbled 3-4 defenders. I'm like, oh shit, man. I hope it doesn't flop, man. Because we had Sterling as well. If you remember when he first started his first game, as well, also had a good game. Even Lukaku, a lot of people are gonna hate him, man. When he came, his first few games, he was good against Arsenal as well. So I want them to keep carrying that way. Because for me, I said that I want a complete overhaul, man. I want like overhaul to the whole team, man. Because these guys, we give them the opportunities. For me, for the last 3 seasons, we spent too much time in from 8 to 10, man. We spent too much time in that position. And for me, Havertz and Mount, I know it's an extreme opinion, which I don't know if it's that extreme nowadays. For me, I think they need to hold bench and be sold, man. I think it's time for us to move on from them. Champions League was 2-3 years ago almost, man. It's time to move on from that. Let's build a team that can actually compete and take this beautiful club where it's supposed to be, man.
The thing I'd say to that, Kai, is how many other players in the forward line do you think should go before? Like, do you not see Ziyech going before them?
Yeah, Ziyech. No,
before them? Do you know what I mean?
Ziyech, this is where I am, right? Ziyech, Pulisic, Gallagher, Mount, Havertz. 4 of them. Get them out. And
it also depends on the formation. If we go to a 4-2-3-1, where's the room for the 8s at in this formation? I don't see it. I certainly don't want to see Mount playing as a 10 or on the wing. I've seen that. I've seen that before. That does not work.
On the flip side of it, Josh, I'll be honest with you, and this is just again my opinion. I think Pulisic and Ziyech go before Mount and Havertz all day. In my opinion, like
they probably should. I don't know that would be a wise thing to do first, considering you're moving to a system that requires attackers, actual attackers, guys who can play on the wing, create, and not 8s who pretend to be attackers. So yeah, if we're playing a 4-3-3, and then maybe those guys go first because we'll need those extra 8s to play in the midfield. But if we go to an attacking-minded formation, a 4-2-3-1, where we don't need 8s, those guys are out the door too, man.
And for me, Kufu's being added in the summer as well. Remember?
Yeah, well, man.
Absolutely.
For me, it just hurts me seeing like Chelsea where we are now, and I just see these guys with all their PRs, like we care, we celebrate, bro. If you really care, like you would show it on the fucking pitch, man. Cucurella is not even English, man, and he showed more fight than these 2 in that fucking entire game, man. Like he was going for every second ball, he was trying to defend. I'm tired with the PR. I'm tired of the words, man. And people compare these guys to Lampard, man. Lampard fought for every fucking ball, man. It annoys me, man. Yeah, but Jim, you're the opposite of Lewis, bro. You love.
No. But what I'm saying is, I don't think he was that bad in the first. When you look at the performances of what was behind him and how he played in the first half, we could easily say he didn't have a bad half, did he, Kai Havertz? You know, I thought he was giving them a couple of problems up front. He's not even a striker. You know, like
for me, honestly, I'm referring to the season as a whole, right? Like the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, well, that's different. Yeah,
from both of them, has been underwhelming.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with that. Everyone's been under par, though. You know, look at our position in the table. That really answers everything, doesn't it? Other than Thiago Silva, I'll be honest with you. Again, I keep saying Thiago Silva. I think they've all been under par, but yeah. Anything else you want to say, Kai?
No, man, that's it, man. I'm just excited to see what the team is gonna look like because we have a lot of good players. Enzo today, man. If we can get that signing, Jim. Hey, man.
Yes, get rid of this Rice stance, man. Get rid of them, man.
Oh God, Thank you. To be the player. What are we saying?
I'm going to jump up now to give space for somebody else to join in.
Forward. No worries, man. Take care. See you later. Thanks for coming on, bro. See you later.
Take care, guys.
What are we saying? Couch Mudryk.
Couch Mudryk in the building. You don't know. Just some promising signs. I saw a lot of things on the weekend that just felt me with optimism. You know, the idea that, you know, this Mudryk guy comes onto the pitch and completely destabilizes that entire back line. You know, like we just haven't had that ever. Like outside of when we had Hazard, I don't remember a time where we had a guy that put so much chaos and confusion into a back line. Like whether he's staying on the last defender or whether or not he's actually coming to collect and build attacks, like everything that he did on the ball just led to an opportunity for Chelsea to score a goal. It's incredible, right? This is just like 35 minutes of action. So there's a lot to build on there. And then when you think about, you know, Felix coming back into the side, Sterling coming back into the side, like all these guys that have something to, you know, some quality going forward. You start thinking about that. You start thinking about the defense. You think about like Reece James coming back. Obviously, you know, Chilwell and whatnot, Fofana. And I'm starting to think this, and you guys can call me crazy if you want, man. It's a far cry from where we are right now. But if we get healthy, and we've seen the return to an N'Golo Kante from, like, say, even 2021, you can't tell me that Chelsea are not dark horses for, you know, the Champions League right now, just in the position we're in right now. Because right now, the teams are not checking for Chelsea. They don't think that we have the quality in the sign just based on the way we're playing. But at the same time, if N'Golo Kante comes back into that side and provides the midfield with the energy that we desperately need, this team is definitely going to be a scary outfit in the Champions League. Just think about like Mudryk running at like some of these defenses right now, and then somebody like Joao Felix coming in and just stitching together the attacking moves and stuff like that. We have a completely different side, when you add those two pieces in there with the players that we already have. With that said, there were some really, really promising debuts. I thought like Badia Shield, like everyone has said, has shown immense amount of quality. I didn't think that he was going to be that nice on the ball. Again, it was lazy. I looked at some of his comps and I was kind of like, I don't know about this dude. But everything that I've seen in the game right now, the composure in particular, has led me to believe that this guy's got something to build on. And playing next to somebody like Thiago Silva, who clearly makes the game easier for you, is definitely going to be advantageous to him. But on his own, like the passes into the midfield and stuff like that, like the line breaking passes, I don't think that he missed one. Like every one that he attempted was accurate and right into where you wanted it to be. So he looks a real player there.
You know what's funny? I thought he's doing what I thought Koulibaly would do. I thought
with that said though, I'd say Koulibaly's like distribution, like his long range passes have been actually really good. Yeah. It's just everything else. Like he just looks like he hasn't really adjusted to the pace of the Premier League at all. And he looks helter-skelter
panicky
every time. But with that said, like, and I'm just going to finish with this. Like, I wasn't really big on, paying the release clause for Enzo and stuff like that. I don't think that we should be paying crazy money, but given that we're going back in right now, you can't go back in for this guy and not come away with him. Like that, this sends a bad message. So for me, you have to come away with Enzo Fernandez if you're going back in this window.
Yeah, but again, Couch, this all goes back to how we're structuring it, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think we're getting him in January. I think this is the whole thing of trying to push him for summer. I think we're going to try and do an Nkunku deal. That's what I think.
It's likely. You're probably right there now that I think about it, but you just can't come away without getting him is what I'm saying. Like you can't close this window and say that we haven't secured the signature now, because it just looks really poor, especially after the last fiasco. So
and Jen, if that's the case, then Benfica have to play ball a little bit too. If we're going to give them 100 million and let them keep him for the rest of the year, like you got to take that deal, man. I'm sorry, like you can't look 100 million in the face and laugh at it when you just paid 18 million for this guy 1 year ago. And you're going to get to keep him, which at that point becomes shit. If we were going to loan that guy, he's a $15 million a year loan player probably. So it's a good deal for me.
No, I agree. I just think that there's the thing that stands out for me with it is that will they want to commit to a summer deal with Chelsea, or would they prefer a bit of a bargain more, like a bidding more between other clubs?
I don't think they will get 100 though. There's no way they'll get 100 for him.
I bet they will if they're going back in. I bet they will if they're going back in right now.
No, I mean from Chelsea, from teams other than Chelsea. I don't think they're going to get 100. The only reason they want 100 because he's a very, very good player. They've seen his value, and they're in all competition. They're in the Champions League in the last 16, and they're also they can win the league in their respective league as well.
So it's January.
His price don't drop from January to summer though.
But the competition does.
I agree with that.
The amount of people that would be in for him might change. So like he might not be as popular come summertime.
There might be but the compromise of the deal changes.
Yeah, it's more of a negotiation period between now. That's why I keep saying to people.
But also, like, I think Chelsea should do it now because you don't know if you're going to get Champions League or not, we might be. But we might be competing with a team who might get Champions League. They're four-man. Chelsea needs to get it.
Oh no, I agree, but I think
we should.
I think like Jeff said, and I agree. I don't think we'll get it. He'll be a Chelsea player. Like we'll see him play for us this season. It's more. I think I go towards they're going to cut a deal after that. Remember, like we.
I don't mind, man. I don't mind as long as he's a Chelsea player.
Which is fine because I think they're going to try and get Caicedo done this window and a right back this window.
I'm up for Malo Gusto, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and then what they can say is you bring Enzo in the summer, you bring Kuka in the summer, and then you bring a goalkeeper in the summer.
But guys,
that's
Benfica,
free. That's free. So
but Yeah, I'm just want to say about the news about Enzo today. I see from what my point of view that Royo Costa, the Royo Costa guy, I think he wants upfront, not installments. That's why I think we should have before noticed this, before Todd Bowley had conversation with him. So I don't know what's going to happen right now. Because they say, I heard from news that we're gonna start speaking with them with fresh. Hopefully maybe we can find a deal for the summer.
Yikes.
Yeah, for maybe 120 million. Because they want 120 million euros. Am I right? So I think they should be finding a situation to agree each other. And if this happens, then we're happy to see him this summer, with Nkunku. But but
the reason why they wanted it front loaded is because they want that deal, whatever deal they get for Enzo, they want that to be enough money to sacrifice the rest of their season. So sacrifice the fact that they probably won't win the title, sacrifice their position in the Champions League. So
and River Plate they need also
that extends beyond what they're going to be losing in him, right? So I think in the summertime, if they try to make a deal in the summertime, that's probably not going to be the case. They probably won't be looking for crazy overs at this point.
And Frank Lampard's been sacked as Everton manager as well. Just quickly, just wanted to let
surprise, man.
That's what Mouse thought of announced anyway. But yeah, we move. Go on.
Yeah, I think this is what's gonna happen for Frank Lampard because he's in the relegation zone. So I think they made the right decision, to be honest.
Yeah, he needs to go abroad, man. He needs to go abroad, master his craft, and come back in 2
because
years.
he's not good. He's not good managerial, to be honest. He should be something learned from somebody like Jose Mourinho. I don't know. I'm just about the situation about Enzo. I think Enzo is complicated for us right now. To be real, I don't think it will happen at all. I think this is just because we have 2 weeks left. Also, we need to find, because they are focusing on midfield. So why not? Because the last performance he did very well. You saw the video, giving news for the players so they can buy him. But I don't know. We will see. But I think the more likely is Caicedo for this week, because Caicedo, I think they will accept a bid maybe at 75 million, 75 million, as Ben Jacob says, 75 million euros or pound. I don't know. So with plus add-ons. So I think we can find a way to make installments and make a strong structure. So we will see. But I think for likely is Caicedo this window. But also the other thing I want to say about the right back, Malo Gusto, the guy from Lyon. I think he's so good. He's if we get him, I can't think somebody he can be so much better and be competition between James and him. So I think then we don't need any right back. We don't need any right back after that.
I agree. I think you do tie up the right back area if you can get Malo Gusto over. I agree with that. I think there's a top quality player in him as well. Obviously, you'll be playing with Reece James, the best in the world, in my opinion. So, what more can you want as a young 18, 19-year-old coming over to Chelsea? He has the abilities, the attributes. He's quick. He can cross. He's very quick, actually. He's athletic as well. So
exactly.
Why not?
Yeah, and Matt Law said we're waiting up a bit for preparing a bit for him. So if I think maybe the first offer will be rejected, then the second offer we're gonna accept it. This is how I see it, because they want, I think, 40 million euros, maybe with add-ons. I don't know. We will see. We'll see.
AJ, what we saying, mate?
Yo, big up. Everybody said everything really. Regarding the game, I think it was an okay performance. We looked fairly solid. Defense looked decent. Thiago and Badiashile, they're clearly our number one partnership right now. Cucurella looked good. I don't hear anybody complain about Cucurella this week, so I think he stepped up to the task. Chalobah played decent on the right side. He got hurt. Every game somebody has to come off hurt for some reason. I don't know why. The midfield was probably our weakest point, just because, that three, Jorginho, Gallagher, and Mount, they're probably not the best three as a combination. But Potter got to work with what he has. We're missing Zach. I think Zach is a big miss for us. I really think he brings us that steel and that size, and that he brings a certain dynamism in the midfield that is like a springboard for our attack. So I think he's a miss. You know, everybody's wondering why Mount won't get dropped, but there's not really many options. I know Mount isn't playing well. I'm not the biggest Mount fan, you know, but I don't hate him. I think he has value to the team. But you know, Potter got to work with what he has. Now, when it comes to the attack, I think Havertz, you know, he started the game well. He had a good first half. You know, Havertz, again, I'm not the biggest Havertz fan. He's not a number 9, but he was effective. He held up the ball. He was running the channels. You know, he did well in the attack. I think in the second half he kind of fell off, and I think that's why that substitution was made. But again, you can't. Potter seems to be against playing Aubameyang for any extended amount of time. So I guess it's just gonna have to be Havertz until we either get a striker or maybe Felix starts as striker. I'm kind of.
Sorry, sorry, AJ. Sorry, I just wanna say that you remember the interview that Kai Havertz did, I think, before the last game. Like he said that I'm not a striker. I'm just a number 10, like second striker. I can't score many goals. If you guys heard the news, like from Twitter, I think
he didn't say he couldn't score many goals. What he basically said is that he wasn't bought in the team to score 30 goals a season.
Yeah,
that was his answer.
But he is a second striker. Let's be honest. Yeah,
he plays off of a striker. He plays off of a striker, but we don't have a real striker, or we don't play a formation that allows him to do that. I'm interested to see when Felix, Mudryk, Madueke, and Havertz are fit. How are we going to fit them? I'm really interested to see that, because when Felix played his game, he started from the left. But now with Mudryk, he started from the left. So I'm assuming Felix is gonna play what, strike from the center, or are we gonna play
a 10?
Like that's what's going in my head right now. So
I'm playing a 10. Yeah, if Felix are playing a 10, and then you play Mudryk and Madueke, and you probably play Havertz up front for now.
Exactly.
That is literally what we're going to end up doing, I think. But then I think Mount
I would rather do it the other way around. I'd rather put Felix in that 9, and then put Havertz in the 10.
No,
because the reason why I say that, I don't want Felix in the 9, but Havertz, I feel like he's just a waste up there. He's not clinical enough. He's not clinical enough. But then again, if you put him in a 10, he just doesn't seem to have that awareness to play the simple pass in the space. Because he done it the other day where Mudryk literally ran, and he weren't even he weren't sprinting. He was literally just running, trying to keep himself on side. Havertz held on to it and ended up getting dispossessed. So I don't want to see Felix up there, but if I had to pick between the two, I would swap them round, just because I've seen enough of Havertz up there in the 9, and it's not a good sight, man. It's not a good sight.
I would have liked to see Brower up there personally.
That would be nice too.
Unfortunately, the injury,
that would be nice. But on Mudryk, I think he's the type of player that we've been waiting for.
Man.
He's the type of player that we've been waiting for, and if Madueke could bring something similar on the other side, then I think we really took him.
I don't think you're going to see that quality there.
Imagine.
Man.
So the link up with Mudryk, he's explosive. He could dribble, but he's also looking to link up with his strike partners, and that's the key right there. He played so many 1-2s in that half space with Chukwuemeka, with Havertz, with even Gallagher. It wasn't really a 1-2, but he made it a 1-2 into the box and got a shot off. So that's the type of player and the type of intent that we're looking for when we're talking about attackers. Somebody who's looking to actively make something happen, not waiting.
He can threaten teams. Like, we have a guy now that can threaten teams at the highest level. Like, he's that quality
at any moment. Moment. So regarding the team now, or regarding the our standing, I think looking at our upcoming fixtures, we play Fulham, West Ham, Southampton, Tottenham, and Leeds. I think that's a run where if we go, I'd say 5 wins. I think we should get 5 wins in that. But if we go 4 wins out of that 5, I think we'll be, in a much better place in the table. So it's time now to go on some type of run.
Yeah, I agree.
I hear you, mate.
One game at a time. One game at a time.
Let's go to Mr. Father. What's happening, Mr. Father?
All good. All you doing?
Close your tabs. How many times have I told you? Close your tabs, man.
You can hear me now.
This guy.
No, I can't, mate. I can't hear crap.
No, he's got his tabs open, man. He does this all the time.
No, I haven't got my tabs open.
Oh, now you have.
What,
Now
can you
your
hear me
mic's-
now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Yeah.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Exactly. Shut up, Surfer.
No,
Exactly.
close your
So,
tabs. That's what happened.
no, I'll be real with you. Like, I've got nothing to add apart from Mudryk's debut, man. Like, I've got to witness it. That debut cameo of a player that can be as good as Eden Hazard, man. I never jumped out of my seat before in my life. You can ask Lewis about that, but flipping hell, yesterday I thought.
I mean, let him
for
play
me, as a
90 minutes
player-
first, bro. Come on, man.
Let's not do this. Let's not compare him to Hazard.
I mean, I did
Allow-
say
He
Hazard.
looks like.
Nice.
He looks like.
Bruv,
Yeah, Hazard,
how
man.
how excited are you literally about Mudryk? Like,
You-
we've lacked an alpha in our attack who's gonna make us like his team.
Does.
If
Bro,
we,
you should
if
go.
he
You
can
should
be
go
this
low.
good,
You should compare him to Mount, and then you go to Hazard, bro. You can't just go straight away to Hazard, bro.
absolutely
Because-
no. I'm not comparing him to Mount. Are you mad? No. I think he's had a great cameo in that, but yeah, man. Like, next game is Fulham, minute, so I've got nothing else to add, man. But big up to Mudryk. I hope to see him at the Fulham game. Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see a lineup where Madueke and Mudryk are our wingers. Like,
Yeah.
but on both sides.
13 days, over a week, so you could see that. It's on a Friday
I would
night.
like to see it because they're both dribblers, they're both direct, they both can take
Yeah.
their play man on, which is something I've been crying for blimmin' years. Having someone that can actually attract players, create space, dribble, speed. You know, like we've needed this, man. This is an injection of something we haven't had. You know?
Yeah.
I've got a feeling against Fulham he's going to start Ziyech and maybe bring Mudryk off the bench. I know we want to see that front three, but I just don't see Potter dropping him at the moment. If Mudryk comes on,
I think he can come in the bench.
he'll be there. He'll be there. I don't think we'll get rid of him this January. I think it'll be a summer. I think it'll be a summer one if we get rid of him. He's been playing well. Yeah, Ziyech. I don't see him going this January. I'll be honest. It depends who we bring in.
Because of his wages.
He offers something different, you know, like I think that they complement each other well, to be honest. Like the directness, the pace, the trickery, Madueke, and then also, you know, the ball delivery from Ziyech. You know, like if you know from the right, you need different options there, and I think he can offer something. He still can offer something. It's not something that I want to see in every game, but if you need to switch it up and you need something a little bit different on the right, he can provide that.
I have a question. Something related to the game that's coming up now, because Felix is out of the game. Is postponed. Am I right? Like he will not play. Why?
Back against West Ham.
Why Chelsea like cannot go like to the FA and speak with them, like anything that like make them let Felix play the game, because this is very harsh, to be honest. Like, first
Not
game
as simple as that in life, my friend. Life is that simple. It would be easy.
Imagine he's
good point. I don't. When is Sterling back? People are asking in the comments. I don't know.
So basically, he's well, from what we understand, he had a lot of swelling on the hamstring.
Yeah.
So when he had
but
he was out for. So I think probably at least another week or two, from what we've been told.
Yeah, I've seen the news that Potter might target Sterling return for this week alone, let alone next week. So we've got.
I don't want to rush it. I don't want all that issue again where we rush players back for the sake of it. And
Jim, what's your thoughts on Cucurella performance?
I don't know. I don't really get why. I'm not talking about you guys, but why on social media people were so pissed, dislike the guy. I mean, I know he's had some bad moments and whatever, but I think he gets heavily criticised.
I know, sir. I know, because they're scared he's gonna dispossess Chilwell's position, man.
I just find it weird.
Price tag, man. 65 million, man. He doesn't give me the quality of a 65 million pound player right now.
Come on.
He doesn't.
Wait. Yeah, I get that, but wait a sec. He's playing in a system that is absolutely a shambles. Let's be serious. Like, you're asking him to play at a level that he has in Brighton, where there's an actual system and there's an actual function, which we don't have.
I just expected him to at least not even go levels above where he was at Brighton, but at least match that, and he hasn't been. Like, there's been a rough adjustment. Like, we can't ignore this, guys. Like,
we played him in back three. How many times we play him in different formations? We play him as wing back. We play him as
center back.
He's done it at Brighton, though. He's done wing back. He's done center back. He's done it all at Brighton as well. You know, so
I just think it's too early.
Yeah, for me, give him better midfielders on the left, and then you judge him. Because for me, when he's played left back at the beginning of the season, he was very, very good.
So
when we start having issues in the midfield,
65 million is the right price for him then?
No.
So you can understand why people are now like, "Whoa, we paid 65 million for this guy."
Yeah, but at the same time, people need to understand the context of where we are.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to like cover up other positions with them, and it's not fair for him, man.
Like that's the way I see it. Like people moan about players playing and their levels are bad, and I get it. They can be inconsistent, but it's about understanding where we are as a club, man. Like we're not in a good position. We've got 11 injuries, right? We couldn't even win. We lost 4 in a row. We were in bad form, and that rubs off in confidence. We have no leaders. We have no spine. We have really a lack of experience on the pitch as well. There's a lot of things that we actually miss to make this team function. Like let's be serious. Let's not cut corners. But I get what you mean. You spend that money, you want more. I get it.
And simple things like just defending your flank. Just defend your flank then.
Yeah.
Like let's just do that, okay? Like you have 1v1, be able to defend that. Don't give away the ball. Stuff like that.
It was interesting.
£65 million.
It was interesting when Potter said that he's had a lot of personal problems as well. That was recent.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I heard this. Yeah.
Whatever that is, family problems, whatever. Apparently, he's had real hard times the last couple of months. So maybe that has affected it. I don't know. But he was better against Liverpool. I thought he had quite a good game.
He was good.
I think he started off a bit shaky. I'll be honest. Salah was getting in behind a few times in the first half, but then he kind of grew into the game. He did go into the game, but initially Salah was beating him on that side, and a few people said it in the ground. They're like, "Yeah, Cucurella's getting done on that side, ain't he?" But yeah, he kind of grew into the game. He did grow into the game. He had one of his better games that we've seen from him. But I think we should look with the price tag. There was context behind that. Again, we had to pay a little bit extra because we didn't want to sell Colwill. They could see how desperate we was as well for a left back. So we all know Cucurella's not worth what we paid for. But again, rivals aren't going to look at that.
We got forced into it. We didn't want to sell Colwill. Of course, we didn't want to sell Colwill because that would have been paying way over. You know what I mean? So it's not even just the fact that we didn't like 65 million is a lot of money for a guy that doesn't give you everything. He's not a complete fullback.
I agree.
He's not complete. He doesn't give you the things that you want. Like 65 million pound for a fullback, man. Wow, like that's a lot of money. Let's just be real, man.
On the flip side,
you say he wasn't complete last year? You say that,
man?
Yeah, exactly. Done. I agree.
He had a very good season at Brighton.
I think
he was balling last year.
I think it's unfair, man, because you're putting him in a team that's not functioning very well, right? You're putting him in a team that has a lot of issues. We have a lot of injuries in midfield. People don't realize that. Like Gallagher doesn't usually start for us. Hall doesn't usually start for us in midfield. We have so many injuries. I think you guys need to give him some time. Give the guy a bit of time whenever the team start clicking together. When we start signing players, filling in the position, increasing the quality, then you can judge him. But his position, don't forget, he also plays with Koulibaly on that left center back position, man. And that guy there I don't know what happened to him since he moved to Chelsea, man. But he's shaky as well. Then you have the midfield as well. I don't think it's fair. He plays on our most vulnerable side on the pitch, man. So I think people need to kind of give him time.
Well, I'm just saying, he'll be good, man. People are upset because they expected a player that has the quality that warrants 65 million pounds. So
yeah, but is any of our players given that though at the moment?
Regardless, simple things. We're talking about simple things here, Kai. I'm talking about a decent cross. I'm talking about just marshal the pitch, marshal the left flank. Things that he was doing at Brighton. He's not even doing that right now.
But
he's not even doing that right now.
He literally has more assists than any of our midfielders already, and he played a lot less than them.
That's nothing to say. Our midfielders don't. I'm not comparing our midfielders to that.
No, I think you guys need to give him some time. I understand why you guys are concerned.
Giving him time.
I would, yeah.
No problem with giving him time. But let's not ignore the fact that he hasn't been come as he's been advertised.
Yeah, but let's also not ignore that Ben Chilwell was not good when he came back to Chelsea because he was poor.
Because he was rushed. Jem, he was rushing, didn't he? He was rushed.
He was rushed. But me and you went to the Aston Villa game, Father. How many times when we went forward did he go backwards and he took too many touches?
Yep.
And slowed it down. He didn't even look sharp. He couldn't even, when he was running, I thought he was jogging. And Chilwell was not he's not the slowest player. Do you know what I mean? Like he just wasn't fit. Don't get me wrong, and I get it, but. I don't know.
Remember, Chelsea is
when you are in an injury that long, it's hard to get full back into your prime player. It's not that easy. But
it needs time. Of course it does. It needs time, and that's fair enough. But guys, we do need to finish off. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Good show. I've enjoyed it as always. We'll continue it again probably well, we'll see what happens with Chelsea and news, because that's what we're waiting for now. Any news that does come out and break, we will be highlighting it on here, open up the lines, get you guys involved. Chelsea ain't playing till the 3rd of February against Fulham, which is next Friday, I think. Actually, not this Friday, next Friday. So, yes, lots of probably a lot of the shows are going to be built around transfers and then probably just Chelsea overall anyway, like we usually do. So, yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. Smash the likes. Subscribe, do all of that. 600 people here still as well. Big up to all of you guys that have tuned into this show today, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care.
Hey, see you.
That's good, man.